Network Television presents Southeastern Conference Football, a TBS Sports production. Today's game pits the Georgia Bulldogs against the Wildcats of Kentucky. Brought to you by Coors. When the heat's on high, nothing beats a Coors kind of cold. The clean, refreshing taste that says the best of the Rockies is yours. Coors to you. And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads, depend on STP. Also brought to you by your Atlanta area Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Home of the best built, best backed American cars.
From the heart of America's bluegrass country, Lexington, Kentucky, Commonwealth Stadium, where today the Georgia Bulldogs and the Kentucky Wildcats will meet for the 38th time. Georgia 5-1 on the year, 3-0 in the SEC. Kentucky also 5-1. They are 1-1 in the Southeastern Conference. Hi, everybody. It's Bob Neal and Tim Foley at Commonwealth Stadium. A beautiful afternoon for football. Temperature in the low 80s, in the high 70s, low 80s. Just beautiful weather here in Lexington. Tim, as we take a look at these football teams, I get a feeling that maybe we're looking at a mirror image of two teams.
There's no question about it, Bob. They've got some similarities here on defense, but when it comes to offense, you're going to see two different schemes of passing.
And when we look at the Kentucky offense, you look at number 9, Bill Ransdell. The players respect him. The coaches say he has the heart of a lion.
This kid is a tough competitor. He's been hampered by injuries the last couple of weeks that have affected his motion, but he's going to direct a pro-oriented passing attack.
George Adams, he could rewrite a lot of Kentucky records.
The big power tailback. He likes it best on the off-tackle sweep and the sprint draw. And also look to see Mark Hogan and true freshman, a speedster, Mark Higgs in there.
He's going to have to run past the Georgia defensive line. Their leader up there tackled Donald Chumley.
Don Chumley has been playing as good as any lineman on the Georgia football team this year, and they're going to try to pressure Ransdell with blitzes and stunts. And they can afford to do this because they've got excellent coverage people in Harris, Sanchez, and Flack in the secondary.
You know, normally at this point in our scene set before our games, we talk about Georgia's conservative offense the last couple of weeks, but after 62 points last week, we can't say that anymore.
Well, it's been exciting for Georgia fans, but you know, the play selection is still conservative.
David Dukes is the man who's the signal caller. He stepped in for the injured Todd Williams, has played well.
He certainly has. They've been very impressed with the way he's produced in games. He's come up with a big play, likes to run the option. He'll throw it on the run to folks like Herman Archie. He's only 5'9", can't sit in the pocket. He'll try to get outside the pocket. You know, of course, Kentucky will try to contain him. Georgia has got some real speedsters on the outside.
Watch for number 48, Cam Jacobs. He is a wreck looking for someplace to happen.
And he's a converted defensive lineman that has done an exceptional job picking up playing linebacker. And his role is becoming even more magnified with the injury of his fellow partner linebacker, Larry Smith.
And Paul Calhoun could be all-conference, could be all-American. He's having a great year.
Second-team All-American last year. He comes up with the big plays. But the important thing to this game is that Kentucky isn't as poor a football team as they were last week against LSU, and I don't think that Georgia is as strong as they appeared to be against Vandy. So Vince Dooley's got his hands full, trying to get his team convinced they've got a tough Kentucky team to play.
And they have to beat defense plays like that. Calhoun is the punter. He is second in the conference and has run a couple of fake punts for a lot of yardage. Speaking of the kicking game today, Kevin Butler has been the big story for the Bulldogs. He was injured during the week in a scrimmage and was not expected to kick, but I talked to him just about 15 minutes ago. He is practicing, and Georgia does expect to use Kevin Butler for field goal situation. Rusty Gillespie will kick off. The punter for Georgia, Chip Andrews, third in the conference. Calhoun second. Joe Worley is the Kentucky kicker. And once again, Kevin Butler will be kicking field goals today, which will be good news for Bulldog fans, not so good news for the Kentucky Wildcats, as Butler last week set the new SEC all-time scoring record with 317 points. In just a moment after these breaks, we are going to go back to our studios in Atlanta for our football action report with Craig Sager and Paul Honig.
Catch the rays, feel the heat, freeze on out to the summer beach, turn it loose with the silver bullet. All you have to do is pull it. Grab a hold of a cold Coors Light. The flavor's heavy, the weight is right. The silver bullet won't slow you down. Feel the beat, keep it light, party right. Turn it loose with the silver bullet tonight.
Coors Light beer.
Every once in a while, something unexpected shows up.
Hey, what's that, a Toyota?
The 1985 Toyota Corolla GTS. A Toyota, dependable. A Corolla, affordable. A different kind of Corolla. A sleeper, a car for the street powered by a new twin-cam, electronically fuel-injected.
What's he got in there?
16-valve engine.
What's he got in there?
Known as the TC16.
Yeah, what's he got in there?
Southeastern Conference leader Georgia is in Lexington, Kentucky this afternoon, and so are the Scouts from the Sugar, Fiesta, Gator, Florida Citrus, Peach, Sun, and Cherry Bowls. Last year, 7 of the 10 SEC teams went to bowls. What does it look like this year, Paul?
I think at least 7 of them will go to bowls again this year. There's 17 major bowls, I guess we could say, and I look for at least 7 to get invitations when the year's over.
Let's look at the standings right now going into today.
Well, let's look at Georgia right on top, undefeated, followed by Auburn, LSU. Florida still undefeated, and Kentucky 1-1 going against LSU today, followed by Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Mississippi, Mississippi State, and of course there's the surprise. Alabama brings up the rear with an 0-3 mark.
Now, the only way Florida can go to a bowl game this year is if the school appeals its NCAA probation handed down this past Tuesday.
Of the 107 violations specified in an earlier letter, the NCAA has formally charged Florida with 59. Among them, ticket scalping, payments to players, and spying on opponents' practices. As a result, Florida has been placed on 3 years probation, with a final year possibly reduced if the Gators show good behavior. What it means is no bowl appearances for the next 3 seasons. And after this year, no TV appearances, the major source of revenue, through 1987. The Gators are also denied 20 scholarships, 10 each during the next 2 recruiting seasons. The University of Florida has already fired Coach Charlie Pell, and the team is 4-0 under interim coach Galen Hall. Hall is disappointed over the NCAA sanctions, but not surprised.
We've been waiting for it for a month or so now. We knew something was coming sometime. We've met, we've talked about it, they've accepted it.
We weren't really surprised, you know, because we've been cushioned to believe that it was going to take place sooner or later, and we basically just, you know, took it in stride, and we're just going to go on from here because we've had we've had adversity in the past, and we've dealt with it by winning 5 games in a row, and it really hasn't, you know, affected our play.
Florida is idle this week. School President Marshall Kreiser says a decision on whether to appeal the NCAA sanctions will be made following next Saturday's game against Auburn.
And Craig, after tying Florida in the season opener, LSU has won 5 in a row. Today, they take on bewildered Notre Dame, and Coach Jerry Faust has lost 3 in a row, and he takes a look at the Tigers.
Well, Wickersham, their quarterback, is excellent. They're 2 wideouts, maybe the 2 best in the country. Martin and I think I can't remember his name. The other wideout, Fontenette. They're really, really outstanding receivers. I go by numbers, not names. And Dalton Hiller, their tailback's excellent.
I think for Jerry's sake, he better learn the names of some of those LSU players. He may want to know them after the ball game. I can tell you one thing, it's Fontenot, Jerry. Well, Auburn has won 5 in a row, despite the defense giving up 34 points last week, and the week before, they gave up 41 points, so they've lost 4 out of 5.
Ole Miss and Vandy will both try to get back on the right foot. Keep an eye on the punters. Listen to this. Last week, Ricky Anderson of Vandy kicked one 82 yards. Bill Smith of Ole Miss booted one 92 yards, setting an SEC record. Tennessee came from behind last week to defeat Alabama. The key for Georgia Tech, of course, is to stop Johnny Jones, who was 4th in the nation in rushing. Alabama, like Florida, is idle this week. And, of course, coming up next, Georgia at Kentucky. What do you expect here?
Well, Kentucky, of course, was undefeated until last week when they really got killed by LSU. But they gave up the football, 9 turnovers. That was unbelievable.
You can't win when you do that.
Georgia is a good football team. They should win.
And Kevin Butler will be out. That game coming up next. Let's go now back to Bob and Tim in Lexington.
They're expecting 58,000 people here at Commonwealth Stadium. This game, originally scheduled to be played at night, has been moved to noon for our telecast. The temperature expected to be in the high 70s. It's about 70 degrees right now. Georgia leads this overall series 28-7-2. The two schools have been annual opponents since back in 1956. Georgia last year scored 37 second-half points and erased a 14-10 deficit at intermission to win handily 47-21. Georgia coming off a big 62-35 win over Vanderbilt in Athens last week. Undefeated in the Southeastern Conference, Vince Dooley, with his 166th career win last week, became the winningest coach in Georgia history, eclipsing the old record held by Bobby Dodd, formerly the head coach at Georgia Tech. And the Kentucky Wildcats, a revitalized football program. They are 1-1 in the SEC. This game is critical not only as a Southeastern Conference game for Kentucky, but also as a program establisher. We'll be back with the coin toss and the kickoff in a moment. This is Turner Network Television.
Do you have anything in aviation?
The Army's most technical training
Are there any openings in communications?
is also the Army's most popular training.
I'd really like computers.
So it pays to have a reservation.
Electronics.
If you qualify, you can get a guaranteed reservation for the training you want up to 12 months in advance, even if you're still in high school.
All that you can be.
We'll see you after graduation.
You can do it
great.
in the army.
Thank you. Congratulations.
We're at the beginning of a new age in communication, and it's hard for you to know how to bring your business into the future. But right now, Southern Bell can provide you with a customized communications package that can change as you change, an electronic digital network that can put all the resources of Southern Bell at your fingertips. It requires no equipment except the phone on your desk. Southern Bell, already in touch with the future.
Down to the 50-yard line here at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky. You see the captains and today's referee, Mac Gentry, for the coin toss.
Okay, gentlemen, let me introduce the other officials to you. Mr. Patrick, Mr. Williford, Mr. Schroeder, Mr. Granning, and Mr. Lambert. Okay, gentlemen, Georgia is a visiting team. Who's going to call the toss from over here? You will? All right, while it's in the air, make your call. He called head, and it's a tail. It's a tail, so you have won the toss. You can either receive, defend, or defer your choice to the second half.
We'll take the second half option.
Take the second half option, all right? It's now your choice, first half. They want to receive. Which goal do you want to defend?
We'll defend. Let's go right here.
All right, turn and face that goal. All right, Kentucky wins and defers their choice to the second half.
Well, there you have it. The Georgia Bulldogs will receive. And we'll go on offense to begin this game. You saw number 5, Kevin Butler, the story of being injured all week. One of the nation's all-time great college kickers, and now the new SEC scoring leader of all time. And we talked to Jerry Claiborne, the head coach, about Kentucky. As you see those big blue rags out there, football spirit's really been revitalized at Kentucky. We asked him about the difference in going from 0-10 back in '82 to 5-1 in '84.
Well, I think the number one is our players have kind of gotten a different attitude. We need a big win, Bob. We need a win over a team such as LSU or Georgia. I think once we get a win over a top-flight football team, then they'll know that feeling and know that they can do it. Right now, we've beaten some good teams, but not a great team.
So it's a very big game, and you can be sure that's what the man in the blue hat and the white shirt is telling his Kentucky football special team, the kickoff team, right now, as Georgia will receive the ball to take this football here in Lexington, Kentucky. Vince Dooley, very glad to see that his kicker, Kevin Butler, will be able to play today. No other real serious injuries for the Georgia football team. We will talk a little bit later about one player who is missing, and that is linebacker Bill Mitchell. As a matter of fact, we could mention that right now, Tim, while we see those teams go out. Bill Mitchell, the linebacker who's been playing so well, has been suspended for this game, and Boswell will start in his stead.
Just a disciplinary measure taken, a little extra activity on Saturday night that Coach Dooley found out about, and I'm sure that Billy is home right now. And probably learning an important lesson in life. That Vince Dooley doesn't make any difference if you're a starter for him or a third teamer. He's got his rules set up, and if you don't abide by him, you have to pay the penalty. And Claiborne's that same type of person. And that's one reason both of these coaches are so successful.
There's the freshman kicker, Joe Worley, about to kick off for Kentucky. He's the only Kentucky kicker to ever receive a scholarship. They like this young man, just a freshman. Deep backs are 37 Blaylock and 4 Freddie Lane, who takes it at the 5. Lane to the 23-yard line, and that's where the Bulldogs will set up their offensive football team. For Georgia, let's look at the offensive set today. Quarterback David Dukes, the freshman from Athens, Andre Smith, and Tony Mangrum starting at tailback. He had an excellent game against Vanderbilt last week. Archie, Hockaday, and Scott Williams, who also played well at tight end. For the offense, notice that former left guard Stevens is at center, and center Anderson is at left guard. That's because Peter Anderson has a sore thumb and has difficulty in snapping the ball. He could be switching back to center as this game wears on. From the 23-yard line, Georgia hands the ball to fullback David McCluskey, a surprise starter in place of Andre Smith. Andre Smith is playing with a sore calf and Achilles and may see limited action today for the Bulldogs. Smith, by the way, is the leading rusher. Here's the Kentucky defensive line. Look for number 54, Jerry Reese. He's a freshman and playing well. And number 2, defensive end Brian Williams. And that linebacking secondary core, Jacobs and Calhoun, the leaders. It is 2nd down and 4 for Georgia. Penalty marker, Mangrum, close to the 1st down. Flag in the Georgia backfield. Frank Hare with the tackle. Procedure call against the University of Georgia.
Last year, Kentucky lost several fine linebackers, and that's one of the reasons they had to convert Cam Jacobs to linebacker from defensive line. They also converted Larry Smith, who was an excellent fullback for Kentucky as a freshman. And when he was injured, now they've gone with Jeff Kramer.
Backfield in motion. Offense.
Jeff Kramer, who is a freshman, a true freshman, and he got his first action last week against LSU. This week, Georgia. Nothing like breaking in slowly. How about
2nd down, 8 for the Bulldogs following the procedure penalty. Backfield in motion. Hand off to Mangrum. Not much running room out to the 28-yard line. Frank Hare with his 2nd tackle of the afternoon. And when you have 2nd and long, the difference between 2nd and 3 and 4 or 2nd and 8 is a great deal of difference for that defensive team. And now Georgia in a 3rd down and about 5 conversion situation from their own 28-yard line. A slight breeze will be going from right to left here today. Temperatures in the high 70s. A beautiful, partly cloudy, mostly sunny afternoon in the heart of America's bluegrass country, Lexington, Kentucky. There's the young freshman who's played so well for Georgia, David Dukes, will throw on 3rd and 5. It's incomplete, intended for Scott Williams. The Wildcats, aided by the Georgia penalty, hold, and Georgia will punt the ball away. In will come the SEC's number 3 punter, Chip Andrews, averaging nearly 45 yards a play.
Dukes has played almost unrealistically well in his first 2 appearances. First time came in for an injured Todd Williams last week, and his first start produced several big plays. Georgia coaches are hoping he can maintain that pace.
There's Chip Andrews. Did a great job punting against Vanderbilt. Helped turn that game around with some field position in the 2nd quarter last week. Good pressure. Gets off that good hang time punt. 83 is Eric Pitts at his 19. Struggles for about 2 yards, 3 yards after the catch, after the 22 or 23, and David McCluskey has the tackle. McCluskey is not only the backup fullback for Georgia, but the leading tackler on special teams. And let's look at the University of Kentucky offense. Ransdell, they say he has the heart of a lion. Blaze Hurt is a real leader. Darian Adams in the backfield. We'll see some other very fine tailbacks in place of Adams sometimes. Shurtleff and Prince, the strong side of the offensive line. Shurtleff, a good pass blocker. Prince loves to pull. Kentucky with a multiple offense, mostly out of the eye. This is the tailback, George Adams. To the 42-yard line. Tony Flack with the tackle. A gain of 20 yards for George Adams.
This is where George Adams likes to take it. He's not an outside running back. This is a sprint draw, or not a sprint draw, just a regular standard draw. He'll pick his way up the middle and then get to the sideline when he can. He's not got super speed, but he's got enough to run away from people. He's a powerful running back.
Now we have Mark Logan, 25, and 33, George Adams in the Kentucky backfield on the first down from the 42. Ransdell throws to the left side. This is Mark Logan. He gets a blocker to the midfield and inside Georgia territory. Gain of 8. Little and Boswell combining on the stop for the Bulldogs.
Psychology is such an important part of this football game. All week long, Georgia has been looking at a film of Kentucky against LSU. And Kentucky will tell you that they played one of their worst games in the last 2 years against the LSU football team. On the other hand, Georgia is bathing in a 62-35 victory over Vandy. They better be ready to play on defense. It'll be a long afternoon.
It will be 2nd down and 2, closer to 1 actually for Kentucky. Just a short distance to go for the first down. They can't get it, however. The tackle is made of Mark Logan. Over there, right at the 50-yard line, Carlisle Hewitt, the defensive end for Georgia. You saw that Georgia defensive lineup. It is Hewitt, Sims, Richardson, Chumley, and Ruff on the defensive line, and Boswell and Culpepper at the linebackers, and the secondary stays the same. Harris and Flack in the corners, Sanchez and Little the safeties. Little actually called the rover, of course, and Steve Boswell will have some pressure on him today. Number 44 having to play in place of the suspended Bill Mitchell. Now Derry and Adams in the Kentucky backfield on a 3rd down 1. Derry, 44, is the blocking fullback. Ransdell will throw on the 3rd down, going to keep it and loses about 5 or 6. Calvin Ruff, number 86, coming up, the sophomore from Eatonton, Georgia. Unusual call, Tim.
They never really got a back in the flat. Usually on this pattern, you'd like to get a back out in the flat. Adams didn't get out there. Sanchez had the tight end covered. Flack did an excellent job on the wide receiver. Ransdell had no place to go.
In comes Paul Calhoun to punt, number 26. He is 3rd ranked in the nation, 2nd in the SEC, averaging 47 yards a punt. Remember, this man is an excellent athlete, and in the middle of the field, he will sometimes run if he doesn't get a good bit of pressure. He got it that time and gets away a beautiful kick. Jimmy Harrell at the 9-yard line for Georgia. Harrell back out to the 14. So the Bulldogs start inside their 20-yard line. Tackle made by number 80, Mark Wheeler, for the Kentucky Wildcats. We have 10:43 to go. Quarter number 1. Scoreless game from Lexington, Kentucky. This is Turner Network Television.
Chrysler creates a more powerful laser because the competition is always on our tail, and we intend to keep them there. We boosted turbo power. 0 to 50 Laser XE is faster than Toyota Supra. Front-wheel drive laser beats Camaro's E28 in the slalom, and Laser XE has advanced electronics, marked cross leather available, and the Chrysler protection plan. Laser XE. The competition is good. We had to be better.
Your Atlanta area Chrysler Plymouth dealer is making great deals. See yours today.
Robinson Humphrey American Express didn't become a leading stock brokerage firm without doing its homework.
I think we can
We train all our new brokers and constantly update even our most senior people through an ongoing program of advanced courses. We know that trends can change rapidly in finance, insurance, and taxes, even investment planning. And when those changes occur, we want our people to be right on top of them.
For answers to questions about making money, call Robinson Humphrey American Express.
Coach Vince Dooley in his 21st season in Athens. His Bulldogs first down 10 from the 16-yard line. 10:43 to go, quarter number 1, scoreless game. Same thing. Dukes throwing on the run. It is complete to the fullback McCluskey, who gets out of bounds at the 21-yard line. A gain of about 4 on the play. Let's take a look at number 43, David McCluskey.
Little play action to the weak side, fakes the draw. McCluskey working himself open in the flat. The ball thrown low into the outside. He has to go down to the ground to catch it.
McCluskey had only 1 catch before that. He's in for Andre Pulpwood Smith, who is hurt somewhat, calf and Achilles problems, but will be playing a little today. He'll be spotted a lot, and there is number 35, Andre Smith with the handoff, short of the first down. Pulpwood Smith, the blue-collar fullback for Georgia, as he likes to call himself, is the team's leading rusher with 400 yards, but has a sore calf and Achilles today.
I think he makes too many long runs to be called blue-collar, Bob. One thing in his advantage is that he's not very big, and he has a tendency to get lost in those linemen, and when he does find that seam, he's just exploded. 4 runs over 40 yards.
3rd down 2 Bulldogs from the 25 of Georgia. 9:35 to go, first quarter. Here is Tony Mangrum. He gets the first down out to the 30-yard line. So the first time the Bulldogs were hurt by a backfield in motion penalty on their first possession, failed to get the first down, and now Georgia gets their first down of the game against Jerry Claiborne's Kentucky Wildcat. Last year, Jerry Claiborne was co-coach of the year in the SEC.
And they have never won an SEC game at home since he's been here. Obviously in '82, they didn't win any games last year. They had 2 games here in Lexington. They're looking for a big win over a good football team.
On the 1st and 10, number 89, Anthony Clincy playing for Georgia. And oh my, what a hit. Number 2 is Brian Williams, the defensive end in this Kentucky wide tackle 6 defense. Hello.
You see Brian Williams come in the top of your screen, and this is one that you pray for. It's a blitz. Nobody picked him up, and he just hammered poor Tony Mangrum before he had the football.
Well, that'll make it 2nd down 12. That's one of the tougher ways to lose a couple of yards. Whoa.
Contact sport.
2nd down 12, Georgia. David Dukes has 2 receivers to the left and is going to look that way. He hits Andre Smith. Nice move by Popewood Smith. There he goes again. To the 42-yard line of Kentucky, and a penalty flag at the spot of the tackle. Brian Williams will have credit for the tackle. A little toss to the left side, and Andre Smith, who did not start this game, and we told you about his sore leg, is playing past his hurt today.
Andre Smith was a tailback in high school. These are not the moves of a fullback. Don't confuse him with a fullback. Look at that move. Avoids Kramer to the inside, then Jacobs misses. He leaves 3 Kentucky players in the dirt. That's Gordon Jackson saves a touchdown there.
There's going to be a mark-off against the University of Georgia. This will come back quite a ways. Back inside Georgia territory to the 43-yard line. Here's Mac Gentry, the official, with the announcement of the penalty.
Flipping! Offense!
Well, that's too bad for Andre Smith, because Andre Smith made a great individual effort on gaining that yardage, but the Bulldogs move it back. They maintain their 1st down, but they move the ball back to the 43-yard line of the Georgia Bulldogs. Scoreless game, 1st quarter from Lexington, 8:19 remaining. Bulldogs with that I-back formation you see so often with Georgia, and they split 2 receivers, Clincy and Lane, out to the right side. Clincy has been hurt, just now healed enough to get back in action. They hand it off to the left side, gain about 3 yards. Tom Wilkins with the stop. Tony Mangrum.
That's the 2nd time they've directed a 1st down play, Bob. They put the formation to the wide side of the field, directed the action back into the sideline.
Now we have David McCluskey, 43, back in for Georgia, along with Tony Mangrum. Cleveland Gary, the Georgia freshman tailback who is running so well, is still injured, will not play today. And off to McCluskey. He drives it up in the middle, close to the 1st down, inside Wildcat territory to about the 48 of Kentucky. There's David McCluskey, a sophomore from Rome. He was a fullback, then a tailback, then a fullback, and was frankly a little bit disgruntled at the beginning of the year about his position on the team. And Vince Dooley, as he said so many times, David, keep your head up, your chance will arrive. It has arrived here today, as he's going to probably see more playing time than Andre Smith. 3rd down 1, Georgia. Double tight ends, Williams and O'Leary. Oops. Finds Scott Williams to about the 38-yard line of Kentucky. 1st down Bulldogs. Maurice Douglas, number 27, cornerback, making the tackle for Kentucky. Tim Williams, had a great game against Vanderbilt last week.
Excellent game, and he seems to be getting better and better as he's a converted fullback. They've got him playing tight end, a real hustler and the team leader type of person. But you can tell he's getting more familiar with reading the various coverages and finding the open area.
He loves to block, too. We'll be showing you some of the great blocks he makes over on the left side a little bit later today. Here, oh, just barely tripped up comes Andre Smith. He gets it to about the 32-yard line. Thought he was about to pop it on the right side. He shot through that hole against Vanderbilt last week for a long run. He's had several of them, as we told you, and is Georgia's leading ground gainer with 400 yards coming into the game. And so far today, Smith has the pass reception of 30 yards and 16 yards running the ball. 46 yards in offense for Andre Smith already today. 2nd down 4 from the 32 of Kentucky. Hockaday, 85 in motion. Smith again gets the 1st down. Breaks tackles to the 21-yard line. Paul Calhoun, Russell Hairston making the tackle.
You're going to watch Pulpwood here. Watch his feet. Now, this is something that he does exceptionally well. He can make you look bad on defense simply because you think you got him here, but he's not through yet. You know, a mentally tough running back. Not got great size, but he delivers a bigger punch than he is in size.
Mangrum to about the 19, and really you can say the same thing about Tony Mangrum, Tim. Tony is also a 5'11", 195-pound fullback tailback switch as you look at Jerry Claiborne, but Mangrum also delivers a pretty good punch in the inside.
Yes, he does. The Georgia offensive line, under the tutelage of Joe Tereshinski and Eddie Williamson, again performing exceptionally against this Kentucky defense right now. They're moving them off the ball.
On 2nd down 8 from the 20 of Kentucky, Tron Jackson, number 25 in for Georgia, along with Andre Smith. That's Smith, 35. Dives inside the 15 to the 14. Steve Mazza with the tackle for Kentucky. Kentucky, remember, is number 3 in the SEC against the rush. Andre Smith going to have to go off to the sideline to change his shoe. As you saw, it came off during that run. So McCluskey and Mangrum come in, and Tron Jackson goes out.
Talk to people about running against this 4-4 look, wide tackle 6, split 6, whatever you want to call it. Most folks will tell you the best way to attack it is run right at it, and that's what Georgia's doing right now.
Double tight ends for the Bulldogs. It is 3rd down 2 from the 14 of Kentucky. Scoreless game, first quarter. Mangrum. Throwing his body into the middle of the Kentucky defense. Thompson and Hairston making the tackle for the Wildcats. Close to a first down. I believe they may be short as we look at it again.
See Jim Holton blocking down. Watch Russell Hairston fill this hole. Pow.
Hairston is 6'4", 200 pounds for Kentucky, capable of playing a linebacker spot, so he can make the hit as Tony Mangrum, who's been hit hard 2 or 3 times here early in this ball game today. Of course, anybody that plays Kentucky knows you're going to get hit hard. Here we go, 4th down and 1, and the Bulldogs are going for it. They are 5 out of 6 on 4th down conversions this year. Mangrum, McCluskey, and Smith in the backfield from the 12 of Kentucky. Mangrum, whistle sounded, however, possibly before the play ever started. The 25-second clock is at 0. It may have elapsed. And if that's the case,
illegal procedure.
it is not a delay. It is illegal procedure. You see the clock down to 0, but they're just saying Georgia had illegal procedure. Perhaps somebody in motion, perhaps not enough men on the line of scrimmage, something of that nature. At any rate, it's a 5-yard penalty. And now Kevin Butler, who is injured, he has a deep bruise on the outside of his right kicking leg, was not expected to play, but surprisingly did warm up and is in to kick today. He will spot this ball right about the 24. It will be a 34-yard field goal attempt for Kevin Butler, who is 13 out of 16 on the year. And last week, in the final 3 points of the Vanderbilt game, set the new Southeastern Conference all-time scoring record with 317 points. Let's see how he kicks with an injured kicking leg. What injury? Kevin Butler pops that one almost out of the stadium. Georgia takes a 3-0 lead with 3:29 to go in quarter number 1 from Commonwealth Stadium on the campus of the University of Kentucky in Lexington.
You've put in a long, hard, tough day. So you deserve to end the day in style. The 1985 Toyota SR5 Sport Truck, sporting a new electronically fuel-injected engine that makes it the most powerful truck in its class, without sacrificing an ounce of style or comfort. The Toyota Sport Truck.
Isn't it a good-looking brute?
Oh, what a feeling, Toyota.
Hot Saturday night. A hot Saturday night. Coors to you on a hot Saturday night. Refreshing Coors to you.
Cool.
All night through.
Cool.
Rocky Mountain Gold, you got it. The best of the Rockies is yours. On a hot Saturday night.
The drive was 65 yards, well executed by Georgia. 14 plays, consumed 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Butler got a 34-yard field goal. What was the key to that drive, Tim?
They ran the fullback in that drive 6 times, all the time, Bob, back away from the formation. I think that they're looking for Kentucky to be concerned about the option and the wide side of the field, and I think they're trying to take advantage of that bubble back to the weak side.
Here is Gillespie, the senior from Sprayberry High School in Marietta, Georgia, with the kickoff in place of Kevin Butler. And Gillespie with an outstanding job of hitting the ball down into the end zone, then out of bounds on the far side. And I think he'll be proud of himself. He had only kicked 1 time prior to this, and that was once during Vanderbilt last time. Other than that, Gillespie has backed up Kevin Butler his entire collegiate career at the University of Georgia. But his kickoffs will play an important role here today. Butler will not be kicking off. For Kentucky, first down 10 from the 20. Trailing Georgia 3-0. 3:29 to go, quarter number 1. That multiple offense lining up into the eye with the slot right for the Wildcats. George Adams to the 22 and no more. Knox Culpepper, number 48, with the stop for Georgia.
I'm talking with Bill Lewis, the defensive coordinator for Georgia last night. He said when Adams was at the tailback position, they were less concerned about the toss, about the sweep, and they were going to slide their defense in a half a man to try to compress the open spaces in that defense so that he couldn't find that open space inside.
Cisco Bryant, number 19, in at the wide receiver position in motion. He's a burner. He can go deep on you. Ransdell scrambling, throwing. Incomplete, intended for Cisco Bryant on the far sideline. John Little covering on the play for Georgia. Ransdell had some problems last week and a few the week before. He had been playing very well for Kentucky, but last week, late in the ball game, when Kentucky was losing to LSU, backup freshman Kevin Dooley came in and finished the game for Bill Ransdell.
Ransdell has been taking a beating the last 2 weeks against Mississippi. A big gash on his lip that was sewn up on the sidelines. He went back in and played. A little cartilage rib problem that has affected his motion, but he's healthy now.
Son of a former Kentucky offensive lineman. Bill is from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. It's third down 8 from the 22. It's complete. And that is to 33. George Adams, the team's leading receiver, short of the first down. And Kentucky will have to get rid of the ball. In comes Paul Calhoun and the punt team.
People might ask themselves, why would they throw a pass like that, a 3 or 4 yard pass, when they have to go 8? Well, you figure when George Adams gets his hands on the ball, he's got as good a chance as anybody as breaking a tackle and getting the first down because the linebackers had dropped deep.
8 Bull Scouts here looking at this football game this afternoon. Both of these teams will probably be in a bowl. There's Calhoun, third in the nation in punting, and you can see why. Jimmy Harrell from his own 13 for Georgia. Wham, bam, he goes down. At the 18-yard line, Cam Jacobs, the linebacker, with the special teams play. Minute 58 to go, quarter number 1. Georgia leads 3-0. This is Turner Network Television.
For many years, for their EPA 50,000-mile test, all 4 U.S. automakers have been buying just one brand of gasoline. That gasoline is Chevron. Of all gasolines available, Chevron was the one each of them chose to buy. Nobody told them which gasoline to use, nor did Chevron offer them any inducement other than the quality of its gasoline. Yet all 4 U.S. automakers independently chose Chevron with its patented deposit control additive. Shouldn't Chevron be the gasoline you choose? Chevron says yes.
If you can't decide between our shrimp and fish, have them both.
Make the Long John Silver's great seafood escape.
Try our shrimp and fish special. 3 of our new larger shrimp and a crispy fish fillet, served with golden fries, freshly made coleslaw, and 2 crunchy hush puppies. With our shrimp and fish special, the choice is easy, and so is the price.
Make the Long John Silver's great seafood escape.
Beautiful afternoon in Lexington. Temperature in the low 70s. Expected to be up in the high 70s today, but it's starting to cloud up just a little bit, so the temperature will probably remain very mild here. No chance of rain, according to the forecasters, at least until this evening. First and 10, Georgia from the 18. Here's Tony Mangrum. Drives across the 20 to the 22-yard line. And now we're going back to our studios in Atlanta for this update on college football.
We take a look at Doug Flutie, Boston College and Rutgers. Beautiful pitch right over the middle. Troy Stratford just walks in. First quarter score, Boston College 7, Rutgers nothing. Back to Bob and Tim.
Football team, as the Kentucky coaches will tell you. They got beat up pretty badly playing Rutgers this year. Very physical team. Second down, 6 from the 23 for Georgia. Dukes under pressure. Look at him break the tackle. Throws the ball away. Excellent move by David Dukes back there to avoid a loss of nearly 10 yards. Very good pressure by 47 Stacy Burrell on number 10 Georgia quarterback David Dukes.
Kentucky decides to blitz on the second down play. Burrell beats a block. Dukes scoots away from him, and downfield Maurice Douglas and Herman Archie are going at it. Douglas did a nice job of covering Herman Archie as Claiborne catches the ball out of bounds.
Great hands. Jerry Claiborne. One of the finer catches of the day. Mangrum about 3 yards out to the 27-yard line. On the third down and 6, and Georgia, thanks to excellent quarterback pressure from Kentucky, will have to get rid of the ball, and in comes Chip Andrews. And the Kentucky player is down. That's number 54, Jerry Reese, the freshman defensive right tackle who's been playing so well. He came in to replace the injured Jeff Smith. Kentucky gets very thin in that rank, and so let's hope for Kentucky's sake that Jerry Reese, who made the tackle on the play, it will be okay.
Now let me tell you what thin is, Bob. Backing up Jerry Reese are two people that just received scholarships this week. You know, they've got no real experience. Johnny Shannon and Mike Galata. So they need Jerry Reese to stay healthy.
He's a high school All-American from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Highly recruited, particularly by Arkansas, and chose to stay here in Kentucky. Has very strong feelings about the Big Blue.
That's one thing Jerry Claiborne has been able to establish, kind of reestablish pride in Kentucky football.
It is fourth down 2 from the 27, Chip Andrews. Gets away a very quick kick. Not much hang time. Eric Pitts has some opportunity and a couple of blocks out to the 45, and Kentucky gets some good field position. 36 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Georgia leads 3-0. A real old-fashioned Southeastern Conference rock'em sock'em going on here in Lexington. This is Turner Network Television.
In today's Army, when artillery goes to the field, so does high technology.
Be all that you can be. Keep on reaching. Keep on growing.
Computers, laser-guided missiles, and teamwork honed to a split-second response. Only the Army gives you this kind of training with just a 2-year enlistment.
You can do it in the Army.
He was a loner, looking out for number 1.
Making money out of war, it's almost an act of nature.
Selling his wares to the highest bidder.
I warn you, I'm a Mexican national.
Doing business with the Yanks.
But this time, he's gone too far.
You about ready to leave?
Not under your terms.
William Holden is Alvarez Kelly. Tonight at 8:05 p.m. Eastern on Superstation WTBS.
While we were away, George Adams carried once, got a screen to the left side, and Kentucky got a first down. And here is the first down play. Ransdell to George Adams, number 33. The final play of the first quarter.
They lined up Chris Derry at halfback. Derry went downfield, picked off the linebacker, and enabled George Adams to get some running room.
Well, that gives us an opportunity to take another commercial timeout at the end of the first quarter. We'll be right back. Georgia 3, Kentucky nothing. This is Turner Network Television.
Dick, send this by Emory to Pittsburgh. And if it's not there by 10:30 tomorrow, I'm holding you personally responsible.
Send this by airborne to San Diego. And if it's not there by 10:30 a.m., Dick, you're in big trouble.
Send this by Purelator to Seattle. And it better get there by 10:30, Dick.
If you were in Dick's shoes, you'd probably do what Dick's going to do.
Hello, Federal.
Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
Some people would rather put up with dandruff than use a dandruff shampoo. I guess they think they're too harsh.
A shampoo should care for hair. Mine does. It's special self-balancing formula. Sends dandruff protection only where I need it. On my scalp, not on my hair. And it gently conditions where it's needed. Leaves my hair soft, healthy looking. My shampoo? Yeah, it's a dandruff shampoo. But it's today's Head and Shoulders, and it cares for my hair.
Portions of today's game are brought to you by your Toyota dealer in the all-new Corolla GTS with its scorching, sweet 16-valve engine. Ready to begin the second quarter here. They're going to have to reset the clock. That little problem had only 13 minutes. Wildcats tear the Bulldogs to shreds. We appreciate the banner. Bulldog fans would probably have some argument with that, but I'll tell you one thing. The Wildcats, it's kind of a cat and dog fight would be a good way to describe this game here today.
Do we get to rate if that's a good way to describe it?
But that's so corny, I don't think I will describe it that way.
You know, last year the score was kind of deceptive. It turned out to be a lopsided score, but as you see, Pitt and Navy taking a lead over Navy. Last year, Kentucky was leading at halftime against this Georgia football team.
Mark Higgs in the backfield. He's the freshman runner for Kentucky who's been scorching the turf. He's number 22. Very quick, not much going that time. Stopped at the line of scrimmage by 44 Boswell and 59 Greg Waters for Georgia. Higgs is a freshman from Owensboro, Kentucky, who is averaging 8.5 yards per carry. Just a little guy, 5'7", but very compact and very, very fast. Higgs out now and Adams back in. You can see historically the Wildcats have had a difficult time rushing against the Bulldogs. Second down 10 from the 44. Ransdell out of the split back formation. It's complete to number 4, Cornell Burbage, to the 27-yard line, 28-yard line of Georgia. Tony Flack with the catch. And that time we saw the arm of Bill Ransdell that we saw starting to develop in the Hall of Fame Bowl last year. 8th catch of the year for Burbage.
He worked his way clean of Johnny Little underneath. Safety coming in to make the hit. Look how Ransdell just stands there, very composed, sure of what he wants to do as Flack comes in and puts him on the ground. And Burbage, a very enthusiastic receiver, very physical young man.
This is the deepest penetration of the game for the Kentucky Wildcats. They trail 3-0, opening moments of quarter number 2 from Lexington. Ransdell to George Adams. Stopped at the 26, gain of 1 or 2, no more on the play. Adams is really runs between the tackles, not much of an outside sweep type players, but he likes to string it out a little and then cut against the grain occasionally.
And you're seeing a little bit different formation with Derry playing halfback, Adams playing fullback. Now, if I'm on Georgia, what I'm thinking there is run to the side of Derry, and I don't have to worry much about a counter trap coming back the other way.
Second down 8 from the 26-yard line. Split backs. They don't usually throw to Derry, but they'll be looking for him occasionally. That time looking over for George Adams, but all that quarterback Bill Ransdell could see was Kenny Sims and Donald Chumley. They were right in on top of him, 76 and 57. Here's Derry kind of trying to get into a pass pattern, possibly.
Well, just a little fake here, and then Adams running out in the flat. They tried to deliver the ball to him, and you can look for Chris Derry to be pretty much ignored on pass patterns, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Ransdell found him later on in the game a couple of times.
Now Lucas and Wheeler, double tight ends for Kentucky. Single setback Adams on a 3rd and 8 at the Georgia 26. 4-man rush by the Bulldogs. It's picked off by Georgia's Jeff Sanchez. Back to the 29-yard line goes Sanchez, his 4th interception of the year, the senior from Yorba Linda, California. Ransdell's 5th interception of the year, make it number 6 on the year.
Ransdell goes to the right place. You have to attack this down the middle, but the ball's got to get up a little bit earlier, and you can't hang it quite that high. He draws it a little bit too far back to the weak side. Sanchez comes all the way from the other safety to make the play. And that young Jeff Sanchez is a very heady football player. He knows the weaknesses of the pass defense and puts himself in a situation to make the play.
Brought the ball back 24 yards on the return also. We might add that Kentucky had only 9 turnovers in their first 5 games, then had 9 turnovers last week against LSU. So that turnover bug has started to bite the Wildcats. I'm sure they'll see if they can put a stop to it. Dukes to Freddie Lane. Lane to about the 33 or 34-yard line where he's hauled down. Bulldogs lead 3-0. Wildcats' drive was stopped on the Jeff Sanchez interception.
That ties Sanchez for the SEC lead in interceptions also. Pulls him away from Tony Flack, and I think John Little also has 3. Ties him with Paul Calhoun of the Kentucky Wildcats.
It'll be 2nd down 6 Georgia from the 33-yard line. 12:27 to go, first half of play. Lovely all afternoon. Warmer than expected here in Lexington, about 73, 74 degrees. Hand off to the fullback. Out to the 38-yard line goes David McCluskey, tackled by 48, Cam Jacobs. Georgia offensive line in the middle is going to be an interesting story as it develops. You see 61 Keith Johnson is in there now, the big 270-pound senior who's had an injured back most of the year. Peter Anderson, who had been playing at center in place of Johnson, has a sore thumb. Kim Stevens is the freshman left guard. So you're going to see Stevens, Anderson, and Johnson all at center some, and you're going to also see Anderson and Stevens also at guard some for Georgia.
The guy with the center, the center has the ball, right? Is
that's the guy who'll snap the ball. That's what they're telling him in the huddle. Here's Mangrum. Whoa, hit hard. May have gotten the first down, though. Cam Jacobs with a tackle. We'll just see where they spot the ball. This may be one of those occasions where the sticks will have to come in. And Cam Jacobs, you might call him a loose goose, Tim Foley.
He's an intense individual. There's no question about it. He's always tapping his foot or moving around a little bit when you're talking to him. And he has really been impressive in his ability to make the change from a down defensive lineman to the guy that is the middle linebacker really for this Kentucky defense.
Talked to a Miami Dolphins scout, Chuck Connors, who's a friend of yours today. He says that he thinks Jacobs is a pro prospect, as you see the measurement.
Well, they brought his brother into, who also played here at Kentucky, into the Dolphin training camp, and he was there for a while. Jacobs is from Coral Gables High School, played for Gary Gormley down there.
Well, the Bulldogs didn't get the first down. They're going to have to punt the ball away. Just by an inch or so. And you know, when you look back on a football game, it's plays and ball spotting and good tackling and so on, things of that nature that'll hold a team from the first down at this point of the game that can really turn a game around. There's 83 Pitts, the punt returner. Pitts averages about 7 yards of punt return. Chip Andrews had a 53-yarder and a 39-yarder, averaging 46 on the day, just about a yard beyond his number 3 ranking in the SEC as a punter. This is a beauty. Going to get a lot of distance out of this one. Drives Pitts back to the 6-yard line. Excellent coverage by Georgia. Number 22, Tony Mangrum on special teams with the stop way back at the Kentucky 6-yard line. Once again, Bulldog punting has really helped him out. That was a 55-yarder and great coverage. We'll be right back.
450 degrees. That's how hot parts of your car's engine can get, even in ordinary driving. Watch how heat and stress can break apart your oil's protected molecules. That's motor oil breakdown. STP oil treatment's heat-activated molecules fight motor oil breakdown, fortifying your oil with extra lubricants and anti-wear agents. Get extra protection. Fight motor oil breakdown with STP oil treatment. STP. Your car care company.
Tonight is unmistakably. Tonight is unmistakably.
Are you guys gonna top that?
Tonight is unmistakably.
Well, we thought we'd take you to our place for dinner.
Tonight is unmistakably. Tonight is inescapably.
Here's to your place.
Tonight is unmistakably. Steak and eggs.
Here's to our place.
With this deep territory possession, Kentucky will probably be giving the ball to number 33, Adams, who, by the way, has a very special relationship with his offensive line.
Before every game, my offensive line come to me and tell me that they're going to block as hard as they can for me so I can get 100 yards. And I told them if I get a 1,000-yard season this year, I'm going to take them all out for steak dinner.
Well, he's on his way. 670 yards so far. As a matter of fact, he's on the pace to break the Sonny Collins Kentucky rushing record. Have to buy a lot of steak for that offensive line. Lansdale completes the pass under pressure to the 12-yard line. And it was the fullback, Chris Derry, who made the reception. We're going back to our studios in Atlanta for this college football update.
Thank you, Bob. Oklahoma State trying to keep its Big 8 title hopes alive. Quarterback Rusty Hilgert to Charles Crawford. Easy touchdown. Oklahoma State on top of Colorado, 7-0. Back to Bob and Tim.
Tim, that sure surprised me to see Ransdell throwing down there at his 6.
Well, I think they're going to have to do a little bit of that. I don't think they're going to overpower this Georgia defense for sure. Unfortunately, we went away there. The tackle was made, or the pressure was applied by Wycliffe Lovelace. And I've been waiting for 3 weeks to say his name. I love that.
He's from Clewiston, Florida. And Georgia has called timeout. Boswell onto the sideline. You saw him drop his helmet there. He's getting a new one, making an equipment change. And John Brantley, a freshman from Wildwood, Florida, comes in. And there is Bill Ransdell. As they say he has a heart of a lion, a very good leader, but he's struggling a little bit in the season right now. His father, an offensive back for Kentucky several years ago from Elizabethtown. Thrown an interception earlier today.
Down there talking to Greg Nord, the offensive backfield coach. Jerry Eisen, the offensive coordinator, really loves that Ransdell. And he just is really proud of the way he's dealt with the pressure that he's experienced the last couple of weeks, feels that he's ready to play. And that man is not only the quarterback, but he is an emotional leader on this football team, because he will stand in there and take the punishment and come back and play with pain.
And remember, he's a sophomore. This is not a senior quarterback here. It's a sophomore. You'll be hearing a lot about him as time goes by here with this Kentucky football program. And don't erase the name of Kevin Dooley, number 18 for Kentucky, who's the backup quarterback who performed so well last week. No relation, by the way, to the man named Vince, but some of his teammates call him Vince. Surely they just. Second down 3 for Kentucky from their own 13. Here's George Adams. George Adams gets to about the 14, needs to go to the 16-yard line, a little beyond, for the first down. Brings up a third down turnover situation, and the Bulldog fans are here in Lexington today.
The motorhome started coming in a couple of days ago. I remember seeing that head a couple of weeks ago down in Athens.
That head is everywhere the Bulldogs play. By the way, today's the final day of the racing season at Keeneland. They have some television sets on at Keeneland. Tim Foley, I'd let you describe that play. It was Mark Logan with the ball, and you just explained that one to me.
I hope we have this on tape. We do. Way to go, fellas. That's it. This is kind of the old Bummerooski. Ransdell hands the ball back to the center. The center then is supposed to put the ball on the ground, and somebody come around and pick it up. It was just a fake type of thing, trying to catch Georgia by surprise. It didn't work out well.
It was Petroviak to Ransdell to Petroviak to Logan to Calhoun to punt. And Calhoun hits the worst punt of the year for him. It's taken by Flack at the 41. So the attempted chicanery by Kentucky fails. A poor punt by Calhoun, and the Bulldogs have good field position. 9:19 to go. Quarter number 2, Georgia 3, Kentucky nothing. This is Turner Network Television.
Jerry, you bounced a $42 check. I've got $6 grand sitting in savings.
We're sorry, the bank is closed. Please call tomorrow between them.
Isn't it time you took back control? The Citibank financial account includes no bounce checking, 24-hour access, and one consolidated statement. So once again, you're in control.
So you'll transfer $800 to my checking. Great. Have a nice day. Good night.
The Citibank financial account. The most bank for your money.
Hey, let me bum a chew, you beach nut.
You gonna like that balanced taste.
Balanced?
Uh-huh.
What?
Some chewing tobaccos lean to the sweet side, while others lean to the harsh side. Even bite. My beech nut's got balanced taste. Just right.
Give me some of that balanced taste. I'm tired of traveling.
Balanced taste. That's beech nut red and refreshing wintergreen.
Tim, I thought they were going to snap the ball to 44 Deary on this play.
Well, this is a kind of a offshoot from a play they called a Bummerooski. Watch, Ransdell sticks it up under Logan. He sits there and lets everybody run out and then tries to go the other way. Not a bad call, Bob. You're in a situation you don't want to risk throwing the ball backed up in your own territory, so you come out with a trick play like that. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, kick it.
But they would like to have kicked it better.
Right.
The Calhoun punt didn't go very far. It was only 30 yards, and now Georgia has it first down 10 at the 41 of Kentucky. Not much coach on the handoff. That's Jerry Reese with his arms all over Andre Smith. Because Jerry Reese, who went out shaken up earlier, seems to be better now. We're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
Let me just say, Bob, they call it the Bummerooski because Bum Phillips developed it, and that's why they termed it that.
Here's the handoff to the tailback, Lars Tate, and Tate drives near the first down just outside the 30-yard line. Reese with the tackle once again. So Lars Tate, the freshman from Indianapolis, Indiana, gets some good offensive line play here.
Look at Pete Anderson playing left guard, just blowing the Kentucky player out of there, creating the room for Lars Tate. Lars had a great run last week against Vanderbilt. They're hoping that can give him the confidence to go on to kind of strive to reach the potential that they have in mind for this young man.
Third down, less than a yard from the 32. Here's Tate. I don't think he got the first down. Cam Jacobs once again making the key play on a third down short. He did it just the last series against Georgia. What a game this youngster's having from his left linebacker position. And a round of applause from the partisan Wildcat supporters. 4th down 1. David Dukes has called timeout. Now this could change Vince Dooley's thinking here with an injured Kevin Butler on the sideline. He can kick, but Vince Dooley will now have to make a decision on whether he wants to go for it on 4th down. We'll be right back.
Have you tasted what's making America say? It's here! It's all here at Hardee's. Have you tasted how a biscuit's done the Hardee's way? It's here! It's all here at Hardee's.
Introducing Cinnamon and Raisin Biscuits, our original homemade rise and shine recipe. Now with cinnamon and plump, juicy raisins, then iced with a smooth glaze. Sweeten up your day with new Cinnamon and Raisin Biscuits.
It's here, it's all here at Hardee's.
Some make greatness look simple, like the great Gretzky and Canon's new vision of photography, the inspiring T70. With the pure agility, the complete versatility of touch button control and 3 distinct program modes. Now, Canon makes it simple to handle any shot. The inspiring new Canon T70.
It makes the great shot simple.
Time remaining in quarter number 2. Georgia 3, Kentucky nothing. The Bulldogs are going for it. 4th down, less than 1 from the 32 of Kentucky. Bulldogs 1 out of 7 on 3rd down, 1 out of 1 on 4th down today.
Quarterback like Dukes, you're always concerned about the option.
But this is Tron Jackson. First down to the 15-yard line of Kentucky. Very similar sweep that Jackson scored on the opening offensive series against Vanderbilt for Georgia just last week.
Against the I formation, you need somebody upfield. Let's watch Andre Smith. He usually does an excellent job of getting somebody on the ground. He knocks off Russell Hairston, allows Jackson to turn the corner. Another nice block by Andre Smith. I'm sorry, Bob, probably 2 of the finest blocking fullbacks in the SEC right here with Smith and Derry.
And Electron Jackson with an outside speed. 1st and 10 from the 15 of the Wildcats. David Dukes to Andre Smith to the 10-yard line. Georgia leads 3-0, now driving on Kentucky's defense. Kentucky stopped them down deep earlier. Be tough to keep holding them out there all afternoon. About 58,000 here at Commonwealth Stadium this afternoon. A stadium that's about 12 years old. It was built in 72 and 73 here on the Kentucky campus, and a lovely facility for football. 2nd down 6 from the 11. Hockaday in motion. Dukes about a yard and no more, bringing up a 3rd down conversion again. Jeff Kramer, the right linebacker, number 53, the freshman, with the stop that time for Kentucky. There's Vince Dooley. We were calling him daring Vince Dooley after going for some of those 4th downs, and he's continuing with that reputation.
Well, that's that old ex-Marine coming out and spent time in Quantico and Parris Island. Just look at the way he walks.
Third down for Georgia from the 9 of Kentucky. Georgia leads 3-0. Jackson in motion out of the backfield. Dukes to the 1-yard line. Penalty marker is down, however, at the point at which Dukes made his cut. It may be against Georgia. Let's wait. It came at the point of a block.
That looked a little unusual, Bob. I don't know if someone went the wrong way on that play. Or...
It's a clipping call. There's Mac Gentry, the official. That'll be a big step off against the Bulldogs as David Dukes headed all the way to the 1. Watch Scott Williams on the play, Tim, and see if you can pick it out.
Smith throwing there. Scott Williams comes in. It's not. It was one of those either or, almost maybe.
Well, there's no maybe about the ball being moved back to the 24-yard line, where it is now 3rd down and 20. 3rd down 19 to be more accurate. Vince Dooley upset about that play. Rightfully so. In terms of being upset, he had the ball at the 1-yard line minus the clipping. So now 3rd and 19 from the 24. Hockaday in motion. Incomplete, intended for Archie. There was some contact there, but it was on the way to the ball. Calhoun covering. And Georgia will have a 4th down. Another penalty marker, by the way, is down on that 3rd down play.
One of the reasons that Georgia's offense has been effective over the last 2 weeks, you got a penalty against Georgia, has been David Dukes' ability to get outside. Now, Andre Smith has cut the contain man. That gave him the ability to carry out that rollout. That time, Jerry Reese got upfield, protected his legs, got upfield, and was in Dukes' face when he threw the ball.
Receiver, downfield, lost it down, walked down.
There's the most spectacular signal by an official. Ineligible receiver, loss of down. Georgia will have to kick, and here comes Kevin Butler. Remember, he does have a deep bruise on the right side of his kicking knee. Was not expected to play, but prior to the game, we saw him hitting field goals from distances further than this one will be. This will be a 46-yard field goal attempt by Kevin Butler.
You might ask yourself how a kicker gets hurt in practice. 2 men were rushing the kicker, kind of feigning, trying to block a kick. They ran into each other, then ran into Butler.
Plenty of distance on it. It is no good, however, and Butler misses wide to the right side. Georgia's lead remains at 3 with 5:31 to go in the 2nd quarter, and Kentucky will take over possession at the 29-yard line. The Wildcats dodge a bullet. Matter of fact, Georgia kind of shot themselves in the foot with the penalties there. This is Turner Network Television.
Hey, let me bum a chew of your beech nut, huh?
You're gonna like that balanced taste.
Balance?
Mm-hmm. See, some chewing tobaccos lean to the sweet side, while others lean to the harsh side. Even bite. But my beech nut's got balanced taste. Just right.
Give me some of that balanced taste. I'm tired of travel.
Balanced taste. That's beech nut red and refreshing wintergreen.
In Tech's 1972 confrontation with South Carolina.
Great touchdown run, Randy.
Oh, I enjoyed all 96 yards, Dr. Sid, just like you enjoyed that Big Tech victory in the 1951 Orange Bowl.
Right, but we both learned something very important.
That's right. There is life after football. That's why you established Life Chiropractic College.
Exactly. Life Chiropractic College helps prepare professional careers for qualified people like you.
Dr. Sid, you think we could see that run again?
Absolutely. I like Tech touchdown. You did it again, Randy.
That was a great run.
2nd quarter action, Rutgers at Boston College. Boston College punting out of their end zone, and Dan McHarris really turns things around for Rutgers. A beautiful 44-yard return on this punt return, and surprisingly, Rutgers ties up Boston College 1st quarter 7-7. Back to Bob.
Well, as we said, Tim, Kentucky can tell you that Rutgers is tough, and Boston College will be able to tell you that today. Some other scores. Here it's Georgia 3-0 in the 2nd quarter. Navy and Pittsburgh tied in the 2nd period. Maryland out in front of Duke 14-0. Steve Sloan suffering at Duke this year. And Ohio State, Wisconsin 0-0. And the rain is really coming down in that game, we understand. Baylor leading Texas Christian by a score of 7-0. 5:31 to go. 2nd quarter here. Georgia 3, Kentucky 0. Wildcat ball. Ransdell. George Adams, first down to the 46-yard line. Tackle made by Boswell and Kentucky in a snap from their 29 to their own 46.
Pitts is working downfield. You see him avoiding the jam a little at the top of your screen. Boswell reacting to the ball thrown to Adams. Takes a little bit of a poor angle, but hangs on to trip up George Adams.
And that's the difficult thing for Steve Boswell, the sophomore from Warner Robins, Georgia, who's playing in place of Bill Mitchell at linebacker. He plays the run well, but his inexperience shows a little bit on coverage of passes. Kentucky may try to attack that possible weakness. Ransdell again. Same kind of pattern. It goes to number 80, Mark Wheeler, the tight end. And Kentucky moving the ball to the 49-yard line of Georgia. There is a penalty marker down in the Kentucky backfield, however. It's going to be against the Wildcats. Personal foul is the call against the Wildcats. By the way, while they stepped that off, I want to say that we told you earlier there were 8 Bowl Scouts here. And one of the Bowl Scouts is Jim Meyer from the Fiesta Bowl in Phoenix. And his young daughter, Kristen, is under the weather. And he wanted us to wish her well, and we do that. Fiesta Bowl, a wonderful activity out there, of course, in the stadium on the campus of Arizona State. And Tim Foley and I have been there.
And a beautiful place, as you see Jerry Claiborne. Now, that rascal puts a lot of energy into coaching.
Personal foul, offense.
Went to Maryland. The program was on the bottom, and he came around with some of the same people on the staff here. Terry Strock, Jerry Eisman turned that program around. He came here, has brought this program from the bottom 20 up into the top 20.
First and 19. Ransdell wanted to screen it left side to Adams, who was set up, but great pressure by Georgia. Chumley was back there, along with Jake Richardson, number 99, and Adams couldn't get his hand on the ball. There's Ransdell. Ransdell this afternoon is 7 out of 11 for 65 yards and 1 interception. But as Tim told you, this is a tough young man. Anybody's playing college football is tough. But this man may be tougher than the others. He plays hurt. He's a tough leader, and he just really has the, as one of the coaches says, has kind of the heart and strength of a defensive lineman playing quarterback. Here's the draw play. Adams gets nothing, maybe a loss of a yard. Jake Richardson, who has played so well at nose guard the last 3 ball games for Georgia, makes the stop again. The junior from Smyrna, Georgia.
He is playing more and more each week, it seems like. You know, Henry Harris is also a fine player, and now he's becoming Jake Richardson's backup.
Well, Kentucky got it out of their 29-yard line out to the 46 on that pass play, but then the loss on the play, and now the penalty, I should say, and now it's a punting situation, and Calhoun does it again. This one is going to be probably shorter than the other one. They're going to mark this ball at the 40-yard line of Georgia. Not a very good kick by Paul Calhoun, only 23 yards. Remember, he was averaging 47 yards per punt coming into this game, and let's watch and see what happens, Tim.
He averaged 47 yards the other day, and he had a 27-yarder kicked out of bounds. He's letting the ball drop too far, it seems like. He should make contact with the ball higher up. And one thing you don't want to do is start, obviously now he's starting to think about it. And sometimes that can be your most dangerous enemy, can be yourself.
Hope you'll join us at halftime. A lot of interesting activities planned for you. First down 10 from the 40. Tailback Lars Tate finds a little bit of a crack in the Kentucky game and gets out to the 48-yard line. Kramer making the stop for the Wildcats. So Tron Jackson, Lars Tate, Tony Mangrum have been sharing the tailback positions for Georgia today. And an interesting statistic about the Georgia tailbacks, you know, they say, who is the tailback since Herschel left? Well, coming into this game, the 5 tailbacks have outgained Herschel Walker in 6 games at the same point in the season when Herschel won the Heisman Trophy. Here's Tron Jackson. Good speed for the outside. Gets the first down, a little bit more, the 45 of Kentucky. Calhoun with the stop. There's one of the reasons. They have a nice combination, Tim, the Bulldogs. Tron Jackson, the outside guy. Tate can run inside. Mangrum can run inside.
I'll tell you another nice combination they have. Victor Perry, Kim Stevens, Pete Anderson, Jim Holden, Mike Weaver. They got a lot of meat up front. On that first down play, they moved the Kentucky defensive front 5 yards back before contact was made with the running back.
First down 10 Georgia at the 45 of the Wildcats. Bulldogs lead 3-0. Dukes. It's complete to Anthony Quincy to the 28-yard line. The junior from Fullerton, California, who had been injured, had a knee injury. This is his first game back.
This is the pass they love to run. Wide side of the field. Dukes going to his left. They force him to pull up. Dukes gets the ball in the air on time, puts it right on the target. And that's, excuse me, Bob, that's just exactly what they like to do. They're going to run a little bit, run that roll out, throw the ball, and then come back to the toss.
Very helpful having Clancy back in there. Osborne a little bit injured for Georgia on the wide receiving core this week. And Clancy gets well just in time. Andre Smith with the carry down to about the 23-yard line of Kentucky. Clock down to 2 minutes and change and counting down toward halftime. Jerry Claiborne looks permanently worried.
Well, you know, you like to see great performances from your great players in big games, and I'm sure he's concerned about Paul Calhoun's punting.
It has certainly changed around the field position, and Georgia keeps knocking at the door. One of these days, Kentucky's going to have to answer it. Boy, they answered that attempted run by Andre Smith. David Thompson, the 245-pound right guard from Louisville, Kentucky, made the stop for the Wildcats. He's number 92. It'll bring up 3rd down and 6 for the Bulldogs at the 22-yard line. They got down about this close previously, had some penalties, and a 41-yard field goal attempt by Butler was wide right. Georgia only 1 out of 8 converting 3rd downs into 1st downs this afternoon. Williams in motion. Pressure. It's complete to Scott Williams. Scott Williams close to the 1st down. Let's see exactly where they spot that ball. This will have a great deal to do with it. Paul Calhoun with the tackle. And they may have to bring the sticks in. They are on the far side of the field. Vince Dooley keeps saying, why can't we get 6 more inches so I can avoid these 4th down decisions?
Well, most of the time he's made the right decisions. Just look at his record.
That's for sure.
Been incredible. The tradition that they've established in Georgia. And that's the mental set that Claiborne's trying to get here. See, Georgia expects to win. Now, Vince, you're going to give him a 1st down, and I thought you were going to have another decision to make.
It looks short, but here's the replay on it again.
Williams comes back in motion. Calhoun trailing him across. They're in blitz coverage, so Paul Calhoun's got Williams man-to-man. Can't do any better the job there than Paul Calhoun did, but they got the 1st down.
That saves Vince Dooley 1 gray hair. 1st down 10, Georgia, 17 of Kentucky. These Wildcats have been tough down here inside the 20. Georgia hasn't gotten it into the end zone with a touchdown yet. Leads 3-0. 1:48 to go, 2nd quarter. Hockaday in motion. Dukes. Fumble! It's picked up by Williams, who cuts against the grain. Touchdown, Georgia. No penalty markers are down, and that's going to be interesting to watch him diagram that one. The fumbled pitch to Tron Jackson. Scott Williams, who is such a heads-up tight end, picked it up, went against the over-pursuing Kentucky defense for the touchdown.
Well, Scott Williams' goal this year was to catch a touchdown pass. Now, I wonder if this will qualify. You got to cut it on the 1st hop. That's not bad. Kentucky, obviously swarming defense, chasing the ball. They're coming back, and David Thompson gets wiped out by 2 players, and that's it. School's out. Green grass, or bluegrass, I guess we're in Kentucky ahead. Touchdown.
Butler in for the point after. Bulldogs lead 9-0. Point after is good. It hits the scoreboard, as a matter of fact, over the end zone bleachers, and Georgia does take a 10-0 lead. I think Butler's leg is probably okay strength-wise, but obviously a little bit sore as he missed the 41-yarder earlier today. And Bulldogs lead 10-0. And Tim, we talk to these coaches, and they plan and they plan and they plan and they scheme, and then this happens.
It really has to be frustrating for the Kentucky football team. They've got the ball on the ground. Here you go. You got an opportunity to get a turnover. Look at all those Kentucky players around the ball. And now the Georgia players wipe out David Thompson there, and that's it. There's nobody else home. Kramer tries to get into the picture, but he gets taken out. Tony Mays hustling all the way from the other side of the field. Can't get there in time. That really is discouraging. And you're right, you do plan. But, you know, it all comes down to playing football, reacting, making decisions on the spot. And that's why when you talk to any of these coaches, there comes a point in time when they throw out the stopwatch, they throw out how much you can bench press, and what goes into the equation is the kid a winner? Does he make the right decisions? Does he contribute to winning?
Well, Scott Williams does, no question about it. It's Lehman Bennett, a former Falcons coach who still lives in the Atlanta area, played here at Kentucky. And as you look at Rusty Gillespie about to kick off for Georgia, and Lehman Bennett had a saying when he coached the Falcons, what goes around comes around. Scott Williams, who's played so well yet been denied that touchdown, gets it on an unusual play like this. Little wind blowing up here. As a matter of fact, Tim, the skies are graying up some. In your pilot talk, what do you call this?
This is IFR conditions setting in.
Air Foley may be grounded.
Oh boy. My spotter here and the fellow that helps me assemble it, Max Chip Miller, he's flying back with me, so I have a co-pilot. Don't worry, Janie, he's going to be fine.
Chip shaking his head. Here's the kickoff. Logan is not going to return it. Downs it in the end zone. The Wildcats will bring it out to the 21st, down 10 with 1:31 remaining. The Georgia scoring drive, a very interesting one indeed.
Does that go down as a play? Is that in one of those plays that... I guess it is.
Absolutely. That's one of the 7 plays. The yardage, 60 yards, 2 minutes, 57 seconds, and 16 yards run on the fumble recovery by tight end Scott Williams. So that was, you might say that for Georgia, that was Keith Johnson to Dukes to Jackson to Williams for the touchdown. Just like Vince drew it up on the first down. George Adams. There he is cutting against the grain, but not much yardage, only 1. And that's where the Bulldog defense seems to adjust so well week after week when they seem to face different kinds of defensive challenges. This time, it's a not over-pursuing challenge. They have to find out a way to stop a runner who cuts against the grain, and thus far they've done rather well against George Adams. That is the fullback, Chris Derry, who they can sorely afford to lose because he is singularly the best blocker in the backfield.
Derry taken up on the play.
Kentucky, they count knockdowns by wide receivers and by running backs, and you know, if you've got 4 or 5 knockdowns during the game, that means the man you're supposed to block ends up on the ground. That is a good game. Derry last week had 17 knockdowns against LSU. It is a talent and a technique to be able to fire out and take a man's legs out from under him, and Derry does that as well as anybody in the Southeastern Conference. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him go with George Adams at fullback now.
Well, for this play, at least, they have sent in, let me just double check who is back there, number 29, Tom Weary, a junior from Columbus, Ohio, 5'9", 196. Here's George Adams. Not much. Stopped at the line of scrimmage again. Clock down to 1:04 remaining in the half. Tom Weary has played very little this year, and however, was an all-state back in the state of Ohio. He was injured in '82, just played a little bit in '83. He's the backup who'll be blocking for George Adams, number 29. And I tend to agree with you. We might see Logan and Higgs come in to carry that ball out of the tailback position with Adams moving over, because Adams can block very well. Double tight ends, Lucas and Wheeler for Kentucky. 3rd down 8 from the Wildcat, 22. Ransdell on the draw. Adams trying to get it on his own, but he's still short out to the 27-yard line. Tony Flack with the tackle. Clock ticking down to 27, 26. 25 and still counting. Georgia does have 1 timeout remaining if they choose to call timeout. They've done just that with 24 seconds remaining. So Calhoun will punt the ball away. And he has had 2 poor punts his last time out. He hit one for 30 and one for 23 yards. He needs a good one here, or Georgia, as they had an opportunity against Vanderbilt, can come back and hit you very quickly right before halftime.
Well, they scored, I believe it was 29 points in the 3rd quarter last year against Kentucky. Each time we've seen them play, when they score, they seem to score in a bunch in a hurry. It's like they only have permission to score during the next 5 minutes. See how many you can get in there. And that's what happened against Vanderbilt. 3 touchdowns, boom, boom, boom.
Vanderbilt entertaining Ole Miss this week in Nashville in SEC action. By the way, we will keep you totally up to date on all the scores at halftime when we go back to Craig Sager and Paul Horning at the Football Action Center. Auburn is playing at Mississippi State in a 1:30 Central Time kickoff today. Notre Dame's at LSU this afternoon. Tennessee is playing at Georgia Tech. So the only real pure conference games are the Auburn, Mississippi State, here Georgia, Kentucky, and Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. There's Freddie Lane, who's back to take the punt. Freddie had a fumble in a critical situation last week, made his coach very nervous.
Yes, he did. Bill Ransdell is on the sideline right now talking to Jerry Eisman. He's down out of the booth. He's the offensive coordinator that calls the plays, and he's taking advantage of every minute that he can to talk to Ransdell about what's happening.
Freddie Lane caught that ball at the 33-yard line. Clock goes down to 16. Good coverage by Tony Mays, number 3 for Kentucky. And with 16 seconds, Georgia will have an opportunity, no timeouts left, for maybe a play or two if they choose to go to the air with it. Well, hard to tell what they'll do here.
Yeah. Number 37 is in the game. Now, it's Stanley Blaylock. And
if you're Vanderbilt, you know who he is.
That's right. He singes the grass with his cleats as he goes by. And if I'm covering him, I'm lined up on the end zone because this guy can run.
There he is on the bottom of your screen, 37. They'll try to get it to him deep. Here's Dukes, has good protection. There they're going to third. Now they're going to Freddie Lane. Freddie Lane didn't get it. Matter of fact, I didn't see Blaylock. There's Blaylock. Let's watch this. What happened to Blaylock in this play? He looked like he was going to just sprint downfield.
Tony Mays introduced himself to him. You see Tony coming in, and this is the best way to cover somebody. Hello. That's what you call, officially referred to as a jam. You get one jam. And when they're like that, that's all you need is one jam.
Yeah, Tim, that looks like perhaps the way you played cornerback.
I used to tackle him more.
Now Osborne, who's playing hurt, is in the ball game. 9 seconds remaining. Second down, 10, Georgia. They're just going to hand the ball off and run it up the middle with no timeouts. That will run the clock down to the double zeros. Lars Tate gets only a couple of yards on that carry. At halftime, Georgia 10, Kentucky nothing. Last year, Kentucky led at halftime, and Georgia came back to win the ball game. Kentucky will be talking about that at their locker room here at halftime. You stay with us. We have some interesting information for you at halftime from Lexington. This is Turner Network Television.
Given all that I've got a bank working hard for me, a bank that knows the way to make all my hard work pay. I've got a bank that suits me to a T. Trust Company. I've got a bank that suits me to a T. Trust Company. I've got a bank that suits me to a T.
Excitement is building at Ryan Homes. Introducing the American Portfolio, our new collection of designer homes that blends the past with the future. Detail by detail, our designers created stunning new features and classic highlights. Come see the American Portfolio today. The design is new. The price is Ryan.
See the Ryan Homes ad in Sunday's paper or call 475-8364.
They say you can't get high mileage and great handling from the same tire.
Tires that handle well
wear out too fast. But Goodyear said, oh yeah? And built a tire with deep treads and a special kind of rubber. Result? The Goodyear Eagles. Long-wearing tires that let you take charge when taking curves. They said it couldn't be done. But we did it. Goodyear.
Georgia leading 10-0 at halftime. The Wildcat Marching Band about to perform here, and we'll be showing you some of that coverage in just a couple of minutes. You know, we talk about the football glamour positions of quarterback, wide receiver, etc. The position of tight end is not really a glamour position. It's important, but it's often unheralded. Such is the case with our player of the week, Scott Williams of Georgia.
When the Georgia Bulldogs scored 62 points last week, one of the only players not to score was tight end Scott Williams. However, when Georgia needed a clutch catch, they looked to number 30, and Williams responded. This diving reception on the Vanderbilt 4-yard line helped to set up one of Georgia's early scores. But even more important to Georgia's offense, Williams graded 90% as a blocker, the best of any offensive lineman. This block helped spring number 32, Lars Tate, for a Georgia touchdown. On this play, watch number 30 turn in a defensive lineman to spring number 22, Tony Mangrum. Scott Williams fits the mold of a team player, silent but with good results. He had 4 catches for 76 yards. 62 points for Georgia versus Vandy last week, and the key to their offense, a young man who never reached the end zone. Our Southeastern Conference Player of the Week, from Georgia, Scott Williams.
And what do you call it? Poetic justice today. Williams recovers a fumble, runs it in for his first touchdown. A 16-yard run here against Kentucky. He has 2 catches for 17, so he's continuing his performance, and he's moving into the ranks of the heralded tight ends in the Southeastern Conference. Now, before we go down to the field to enjoy the sights and sounds of the Wildcat Marching Band, we're going to pause to take a closer look at each of today's participating schools.
More than 6 billion people will live on Earth by the year 2000. 2 billion more people than in 1975. One of the essential jobs of a research university is finding solutions to mankind's problems. And one of our most compelling problems is how to meet the demands of the largest population increase over the shortest time in world history. We must provide food, fuel, and shelter for 1/3 more people. At the same time, our natural resources are being exhausted. The quality of all our lives in the future depends upon finding answers. Research at our university has shown how to use organic material in place of petroleum so that supplies of food, fuel, and fiber can be vastly increased. The University of Georgia, America's oldest chartered state university, is finding the answers our nation and world must have when tomorrow comes.
University of Kentucky scientists have assumed a leading role in many fields, including cancer research. The expected 1985 completion of the Lucille Parker Markey Cancer Center will provide a facility on campus where researchers and physicians who treat cancer patients can work closely together to fight the disease. University of Kentucky scientists are also among the leaders in the fields of biology of the aging, energy, and equine research, which will be further strengthened with the completion of the Maxwell Gluck Equine Research Center at UK. At the University of Kentucky, projects are undertaken not only to advance knowledge, but to meet the needs of all of us. The University of Kentucky, where some of our greatest victories are in research.
There's the Wildcat Marching Band on the field here at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky. William Harry Clark is the director of the band. The drum major, Kelly Gross, a finance junior from Russell, Kentucky. And we're going to be hearing selections Jack Miraculous, theme from Indiana Jones, and My Old Kentucky Home. Let's enjoy the 260-member Wildcat Marching Band. Nothing until they got a lucky break on a fumble. Let's have a look at the highlights. The first score of the game, and what looked to be the only score of the first half of the time, was a 34-yard field goal. Kevin Butler, playing with a sore right kicking leg, hit that one, later missed a 41-yarder. That was late in the first quarter. Early in the second quarter, Jeff Sanchez is going to be back right near his goal line. Ransdell looking over the middle, and it's picked off by number 31, Sanchez, who returned it 24 yards. It was Sanchez's 4th interception of the year and stopped a Kentucky scoring drive. David Dukes now looking for number 89, Anthony Clancy, who had been injured earlier in the year and is back and playing and showing some offensive punch for the Bulldogs. And Tim, here's the play of the half. Watch the fumble from Tron Jackson on the pitch.
The ball hits the ground. Scotty Williams picks it up in his own backfield, takes it back. Some alert Georgia players threw some excellent blocks, and they got 7 points out of that. Not planned, but they'll take them.
And this series with Georgia and Kentucky's been wild in the second half of the past week, and look for the same. And we'll be back for the kickoff right after this. This is Turner Network Television.
Good days start with great mornings.
The day's looking new and bright, and you're gonna start it right. Folgers starting to brew, the aroma's calling you. The best part of waking
Nothing brightens your morning like mountain-grown Folgers, because mountain-grown coffee has more enticing aroma and richer flavor than any other kind.
That rich aromatic blend is your best morning friend. Starts you out feeling good. The day goes like it should. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
After playing against some pretty tall competition, you probably think I shower at the deodorant soap. Not anymore, because I made a break from deodorant soaps, a clean break with Ivory. Look inside. Ivory's a basic natural soap to give you an honest clean. Oh, I used to think deodorant soaps gave you the best clean. But when you think about it, they're leaving deodorants or heavy perfumes all over you. Those things don't get you clean. And hey, I use a deodorant anyway. Ivory's just simple, basic soap. So you feel really clean and you smell clean too. That's an honest clean.
Make a clean break with Ivory. No soap can get you cleaner, no matter what size the competition.
Now at your Renault dealer, 10.9% financing on every Alliance and Encore, including new Alliance convertible. Highly acclaimed Alliance sedan. 10.9 financing on Renault Encore. Hurry, finance offer on Alliance and Encore ends October 31st. Plus, see the new Jeeps, America's largest selection in four-wheel drive. Now more than ever, the ones to watch are the ones to buy.
Atlanta's AMC Jeep Renault dealers, the ones to watch.
Well, there are the halftime stats between Georgia and Kentucky. The time of possession, really a critical stat there. 19 minutes, 25 seconds for Georgia, only 10 minutes, 35 seconds for the Kentucky Wildcats. They just couldn't seem to sustain the drive.
I think the big factor here is, in talking to Bill Lewis, the defensive coordinator for Georgia, he explained the importance of dominating first down. Defensively, if you can hold the offense to less than 4 yards gained on first down, you count that as a win, because you feel like you still have them at that point, a passing situation. If they get more than 4 yards, well, then they're in a run-pass situation, and they can kind of dictate to you. In the first half, the Georgia defense controlled first down on Kentucky.
Rusty Gillespie's kickoff lands out of the end zone in the air without being touched by a member of the receiving team, and all of that means it comes out to the 30-yard line. And there's the story of field position. Look where Georgia started at the 23, 17, 18, 5. Look at Kentucky, 19, 20, 45, 7, 9, 20, and then the last three possessions of Georgia, 41, 40, and 34. That is a real big difference in field position in that game.
That certainly was. And although Paul Calhoun averaged 4 yards punting the ball, there are a couple critical situations where he wished he would have put more on the football.
Kentucky takes the ball at their own 30 after Rusty Gillespie kicking for Kevin Butler on kickoffs. Butler did attempt 2 field goals in the first half, his playing in the game. Butler hit a 34-yarder, missed a 41-yarder, has that bruised right knee. First down, 10, Kentucky from the 20. Ransdell with some time across the middle. It is complete to his tight end, Matt Lucas, number 81, out near the 45-yard line. John Little with the stop.
Kentucky has been very tight cast in terms of formation. What they usually run out of this formation is the counter trap to Adams. They haven't been throwing the ball out of this formation. This time they come out, start the second half by hitting the tight end across the field on a counter trap pass.
First down, 10. Wildcats at the 45. Now they have some field position if they can maintain a drive. Slot left formation out of the eye. George Adams. Adams to the 50-yard line. About 5 yards. Carlisle Hewitt with the stop for Georgia. Adams had 36 yards in the first half. No TDs. He popped off a 19-yard run early in the game, and then Georgia bottled him up most of the first half.
Well, I'm sure the Kentucky offensive linemen got together in the locker room at halftime, because they're coming off the ball a lot stronger now. There seems to be a much better surge of blue in this second half.
Georgia leads 10-0 opening moments of the second half. Wildcats got near the goal line, but Ransdell threw an interception. Popped in the air. It's intercepted again. That is Steve Boswell, number 44, to the 49-yard line. The second interception of this day for Bill Ransdell. And it can't be really called his fault. It popped out of the hands of the receiver. And the man on the spot, Steve Boswell, playing in place of the suspended Bill Mitchell at Georgia linebacker.
Ransdell goes back, sets up, tries to pop the ball here to George Adams. The ball goes off of Adams' hands, catchable ball, and ends up in Steve Boswell's lap as we look at it again. Thrown a little bit behind, but Boswell makes the catch.
Well, the ball bouncing Georgia way in this ball game today. David Dukes on the first down, has a man wide open. It's Hockaday, avoids a tackle, gets the first down to the 37, 38-yard line of Kentucky's Wildcats. Paul Calhoun will get credit for knocking them out of bounds.
That's exactly what Kentucky obviously did not want to have happen on their first possession. You want to come out there and get something on the board the first time you have the ball, try to redirect the momentum a little bit. It didn't happen.
Hockaday in motion to the top of your screen on a 1st and 10 from the 37 of Kentucky. Hand off to the fullback. That's Andre Smith. Almost popped it again. Got 8-9 yards to the 29-yard line. Steve Mazza with the stop for the Wildcats. And you know, after a while, you have to start wondering just how good this Georgia Bulldog team is. They are undefeated in the SEC, 3-0. They lost only to South Carolina, and they have been physically dominating teams the last 3 games. It's happening again here today.
There's no question about it. Their offensive line is improving week by week, even though they're playing different positions.
2nd down 2 Bulldogs. There goes Hockaday in motion again. This is Mangrum. Gets the first down. And an extra yard or 2, thanks to second effort, to the 24-yard line. 56 Frank Hare with the stop for the Wildcats. Mangrum had 23 yards in the first half. Tron Jackson had 24, and Andre Smith had 35, and Williams had 16, the tight end, on picking up that fumble and running it into the end zone for Georgia's only touchdown. The skies are becoming increasingly cloudy here in Lexington, Kentucky. Very pleasant afternoon, temperature in the low 70s. 1st and 10, Georgia from the 24 of Kentucky. It's to Mangrum. Mangrum to the 18 and runs into some blue shirts and stopped there. Gain of about 5. Brian Williams with the initial hit for the Kentucky Wildcats.
It's always fun to play defense for an offense for a team that runs the ball. In a passing situation, if you throw an incomplete pass, obviously the clock stops. Not as much time elapses while the offense has control of the football. Georgia put together a couple of long drives in the first half that didn't necessarily result on points in the board, but ate up a lot of time.
2nd down 5 from the 19. Freddie Lane in motion. The 4 goes back the other way. Hand off to Andre Smith, and he's hit behind the line by a penetrating Brian Williams, number 2 for Kentucky. Williams is a key man out there. He's compared a little bit, by the way, to John Little of the Georgia Bulldogs. Even though he's called a defensive end, he's really more of a rover back, a defensive back. 5'10", 200 pounds.
He's a weak side linebacker, really, and the way they use him, he's almost like a strong safety, Bob. As Claiborne looks at the scoreboard.
3rd down 3, Georgia only 2 out of 9 on 3rd down conversions. Lane in motion. Mangrum, short of the first down. Tripped up by 96 John Dumbolt from Troy, Ohio. And here comes the Georgia field goal kicking unit. Kevin Butler, who's 1 out of 2 today, hit a 34, missed a 41-yarder. This one's going to be in the mid-30s range.
He doesn't seem to be swinging with the same intensity, and that's obviously due to the injury. And if he's going to miss, he'll probably miss to the right. You know, he's not coming through all the way as he did earlier on.
And you saw that when he missed the 41-yarder. Has the tape around his right knee. This one is 33 yards out. Hits it plenty hard. This one is good, a 33-yarder for Kevin Butler. He's 2 out of 3 on the day. Georgia glad to have him back after the injury. It is Georgia 13, Kentucky nothing. 10:48 to go, 3rd quarter from Lexington.
There we were in no man's land when the moving truck died in the sun and the sand. So since it seemed we'd be a while, we set up house and we waited in style. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. Now I know Ryder and some newer. They're tougher, they're strong, and driving a bargain sure didn't pay. So next time I'll think this way, it's Ryder or it's wrong.
This bud's to everyone who tackles the changes and challenges of that new promotion.
This bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do.
that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this one's for you.
There's the Bulldog scoring drive. 7 plays, 33 yards. That came after the Bulldog interception, when Steve Boswell picked off a deflected pass, then a 33-yard field goal by Kevin Butler, and we have the 13-0 Georgia lead over Kentucky. And Georgia kicking off to Kentucky again. The Wildcats have moved it right out to midfield. There's Rusty Gillespie's kick. It's a good one, right in the middle of the end zone. Here comes Logan. Mark Logan down the sideline, out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Way back at the 23 is where he stepped out. David McCluskey, Georgia special teams leading tackler, made the stop. Here's a great view.
A great
you
shot.
Play the kicker.
Yeah, a great shot of it coming down to Mark Logan. And the thing to do in that situation is probably to down the ball and get it on the 20. Georgia had an opportunity to, if it wasn't for a couple of fine blocks, to get him tackled around the 10-yard line, and then Kentucky really would have been in a hole, but they're out to the 23.
On a first down 10. Ransdell goes down at the 17. There's 99 Richardson, 76 Chumley. Also 44 Boswell back there. But Chumley and Richardson really creating the pressure right up the chute.
Carlisle Hewitt makes this play, Bob. Falls off from his end position. This is a screen to Adams. They're supposed to let those men, Chumley and Richardson, come up the middle, and tried to dump the screen to Adams. Hewitt is in his back pocket, so Ransdell has to eat the ball.
Second down 16 from the 17-yard line for Kentucky now. Audible at the line of scrimmage, obviously, by Ransdell. Pulls up quickly and throws it. Leaping grab by Joe Phillips, his first catch of the game. A gain of about 6 on the play. 1 yard past the original line of scrimmage. It will bring up third down 9. Joker Joe Phillips, they call him. 1 TD, 13 catches. He's the leading receiver among the wide receivers, but he's been shut down here this afternoon.
They don't seem as though they've directed their offense to the wide receivers this afternoon, Bob. They're throwing it more inside, it looks like.
This is third down 8, and Kentucky has not converted a third down into a first on 6 attempts thus far today. Ransdell, pressure again. Throws under pressure. It's incomplete, almost picked off by Kevin Harris. But boy, the quarterback pressure by Greg Waters, number 59, coming out of that right defensive end position, shooting right at Ransdell, and he is getting banged around mercilessly today by the Georgia defensive pressure.
And he has had a problem with the cartilage in his rib. Once in a while, your ribs get a little separated. You take a shot, a helmet in the rib, and it can be really a painful thing. And it seems as though it's beginning to bother him a little bit.
Calhoun into punt on fourth down 8. Stands just about his 11-yard line. He needs a long one here. And gets it. Jimmy Harrell has to go back to his 20-yard line. Gets it to the 27, and down he goes. Good punt coverage by 80 Mark Wheeler. That was a 55-yard punt by Paul Calhoun. He would like to have had a couple of those earlier today. 9:02 to go, third quarter. Georgia 13, Kentucky nothing. This is Turner Network Television.
What do you take when you have a headache?
Goodies extra strength tablets.
When the pain is extra strong, get Goodies extra strength tablets with the 2 pain relievers doctors recommend most.
Here's what I take now. Goodies extra strength tablets.
I get some real headaches in my job, but this sure makes me feel better fast. It costs less, too.
This one's got it all.
Get the best headache relief you can buy without a prescription.
Goodies.
With Goodies extra strength tablets.
Goodies extra strength tablets.
At last, there's a great selection of hair dryers a man can call his own. Black Tie, the grooming tools from Black & Decker, with the right heat and airflow for a man's drying and styling needs. Attachments designed for the shorter hair men have. A concentrator for spot drying, one for men who travel. And they're Black & Decker dependable. Get a hair dryer you can call your own. New Black Tie, the grooming tools from Black & Decker.
Ooh, what hair.
Tim, Jerry Claiborne's Wildcats, 9 of 15 for 88 yards, 2 interceptions. their leading rusher. Adams has only 40 yards, 41 yards in the game. What do they have to do to get this offense going, Kentucky?
I think Kentucky, you're going to see them opening up a little bit more. They came out, ran a play pass on first down. You'll probably see a little bit more of that. Ransdell, they just have to give him time to throw the ball. They may come with 2 tight ends to give him a little bit more time back there.
Now they've got to stop Georgia. Here's Dukes. Incomplete. He wanted to go to Freddie Lane at about the 45-yard line. Lane had trouble in traffic on the far sideline. We're going back to our studios in Atlanta for this college football update.
Okay, Bob, this is play action. Colorado quarterback Craig Keenan, an 80-yard bomb to Ron Brown. They trailed by 8. They score here. They went for a 2-point conversion, tied it up. But the very next possession, Oklahoma State scored. They now lead Colorado 15-8 second quarter. Back to Bob.
Lars Tate in the ball game for Georgia now. Second down 10 from the 26. David Dukes on the option. Tate's down at the 20. He slipped down, but one of the reasons was the excellent penetration from the right tackle spot of Jerry Reese, number 54, the freshman who's having to play for Jeff Smith.
I'm not sure that you're going to see this play again. This is the 3rd time Georgia's run it. The first time was kind of inconclusive results. The last time the ball was on the ground, and that time they lost 4 yards.
That youngster was Kentucky's Defensive Player of the Week last week in the loss to LSU. He's playing very well again today. 3rd down 15, Georgia, from the Bulldog 21-yard line. The Wildcat crowd coming to life now. Handoff to the tailback. Lars Tate stopped at the 25. Georgia will have to give up the football.
Good adjustment by the Kentucky defensive coordinator, Terry Strock. They had been running back into the sideline from a wide side formation. That time he had his Kentucky defense ready to play.
Georgia will punt the ball away. In will come Chip Andrews, who's having himself another outstanding afternoon for Georgia, punting the football, averaging 49 yards, almost 50 per punt. There's 83, Eric Fitz. Good pressure, but a great punt under pressure by Andrews. Pitts at his 25. Got some good blocks. Matter of fact, one of them was too good, according to the official on the spot. He throws a flag. No doubt that will be clipping. And McCluskey makes his 4th special teams tackle of the afternoon for Georgia. The backup fullback. A 50-yard punt by Chip Andrews, and Kentucky's going to put themselves into a hole. Here's the announcement. Mac Gentry.
Flipping! Returning team!
Let's see if we can pick this one up.
We're going to see it again. They got it. Number 95 right there is who they called it on. You know, and I think that was kind of inconsequential. That's a big penalty for that insignificant an occurrence, in my opinion.
Number 95, Matt Steins, the man who had the flag thrown on him. Scott Williams was called for a clip earlier today, also on one that was very close. They have equaled it between the two teams. Here's the
announcement. Receiving team.
Back to the 11.5-yard line, and Tim, you were talking about what Kentucky has to do to try to get something going against the Dooley Dogs here, and this makes it even more difficult deep within their 15-yard line.
You're less likely to be adventuresome down here, that's for sure.
They do spread it out in a slot left formation, but hand the ball to George Adams. He gets a yard or two and not much more. Henry Harris, number 52, in at the nose guard position for Georgia, making the stop. Georgia has tightened up that 60 defensive look on them today. They're making it very difficult up the middle.
They certainly are. As we mentioned earlier, Bill Lewis has moved his defense in a half a man. Now, what that means is that instead of lining up on the inside shoulder of a defensive end, for example, you'd line up on the outside shoulder of the tackle. You're just a couple yards in closer, and then they're pinching.
Second down 8. Kentucky with split backs now. Good pressure. Ramsdell avoids the sack. He completes it to Derry for the first down and more to the 28-yard line. Fullback Chris Derry. John Little with the stop for Georgia. Ramsdell under intense Bulldog pressure. Got away the pass.
This is what they like about this guy's John. He's got kind of a John Wayne mentality. He'll stand in there. If he tries to get out, he continues to look downfield, and he finds Derry open. And look at Derry. They may start handing him the ball. That's a good run by Chris Derry.
He had only 3 catches all year and only 4 carries before this ball game. Here's George Adams. Got cutting against the grain, nothing. Georgia really covering well, and Steve Boswell having himself a whale of an afternoon at linebacker in place of Bill Mitchell, number 44, with his 5th tackle. We're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
This is Superstation WTBS, Atlanta, from Turner Broadcasting System.
We're back. Kentucky's back. 2nd down 11 from the 26. Bulldogs 13. Wildcats nothing. 5:49 to go. 3rd quarter from Lexington. Ransdell. Quick toss to Adams to the 36-yard line. Short of the 1st down. And Steve Boswell with another tackle.
Boswell dropping to his zone, reacting as the ball is thrown on Adams. They're having a hard time getting their running game on track, Bob. I think you're going to see a little bit more of that possession-type passing, ball control passing. Just the same thing that Mississippi has done so effectively.
Speaking of possession, this is 3rd down 2. Kentucky has not converted on 3rd down yet today. Ransdell. Incomplete. They do not do it again. Kentucky 0 for 8 on 3rd down plays. And that has been part of the story in Kentucky's inability to maintain a drive against the Bulldogs today. Pass was intended for Pitts, Harris covering, and Ransdell now 11 out of 17. Now remember last week when Kentucky stalled, they inserted quarterback Kevin Dooley, a freshman, who came in and drove for 2 touchdowns. Of course, Kentucky does not want to do that, but we might keep it in mind. Here's Calhoun. Pretty good distance on this punt to Harrell. It was kind of a line drive at his 24. Harrell up the middle. They're going to have to catch him from behind. Jimmy Harrell, touchdown Georgia. He took it at his 24, 76 yards. Jimmy Harrell. The Bulldogs blow it open, 19-0.
Well, this is where we're supposed to be quiet for the crowd response, right, Bob? The Kentucky crowd is awfully quiet. Excellent job. The ball was kicked low. It'll outdistance the coverage a little bit, but a fine job of blocking by Georgia. Sprung Harrell, and then when you have that return on up the middle, fewer players have an angle on the man with the ball. Takes it all the way. Got an escort there, Kevin Harris.
This has been a weak spot for Kentucky. They had given up 134 yards in punt returns coming into this game. The point after is good by Butler. It is Georgia 20, Kentucky nothing. 4:51 remaining in quarter number 3 from Lexington. All those Bulldog fans are glad they made the trek, about a 9-hour drive from Athens, Georgia.
This Bud's for everyone who keeps things rolling in the mighty Mississippi.
Breakaway barge, please respond.
Let's get him.
Tonight, Golding, we're right below here and we're on our way out.
I'll come around on the port side bumper there.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Some make greatness look simple, like the great Gretzky and Canon's new vision of photography, the inspiring T70. With the pure agility, the complete versatility of touch button control and 3 distinct program modes. Now, Canon makes it simple to handle any shot. The inspiring new Canon T70.
It makes the great shot simple.
Here's number 82, Jimmy Harrell. He is on this team to do just this.
And he does it well. Calhoun knocked it deep, not too high. Gave this return a chance to form. Once you crack it up the middle, there's usually no catching you.
It's kind of an interesting story. Harrell is in there. He and Lane are punt returners. Lane had a fumble last week against Vanderbilt that made the coaches a little nervous. They said they wanted to put Harrell in there, particularly when it was inside their own 30 to take the punt, because he said, you know, he only gets us 5 or 6 yards, but Jimmy will catch it. We'll take the 6. How about 76?
A beautiful return.
Mark Logan. He's going to try and return himself. Needs some blocks. doesn't get them. Knocked out of bounds down here at the 22-yard line by John Brantley for the Bulldogs. So Kentucky trails 20-0 now. We're going to go to our studios in Atlanta for this college football update.
TCU leads the nation in offense, and this is the reason why. A beautiful option. Anthony Sharafa pitches out to Kenny Davis, and he goes untouched down the sideline, 60 yards. They're now in front 14-13. Back to the game.
Well, the Horned Frogs are back. What a season they're having. Ransdell, plenty of time this time. There's Joe Phillips, and he just missed him. Phillips had an opportunity to go all the way to the Kentucky end zone. Could he have made connections? Sanchez was covering, but Ransdell simply overthrew him. Here's a great view of it.
You see the Georgia linebackers dropping to their zones. Sanchez is deep, reacting on the ball. It looks like a too-deep zone. Sanchez back on the hash, reacting to the ball overthrown. Can't get there in time to make the interception. Too high for Joker Joe to pull it down.
Second down, 10, Kentucky. Ransdell down 11 of 19 for 112 yards. Pressure from Waters. Completes the pass anyway for a gain of about 5 out to the 28-yard line. And that is Chris Derry. And Chris Derry's having himself a career catching the pass this afternoon. That is his third reception. He had only 3 all year until today. And it was Hewitt who gave the pressure to Ransdell.
Another player we're seeing in there for the Georgia defense that has been injured, was injured in the preseason, is Andy Lloyd. He's getting some playing time for Calvin Rupp.
Third down 4. Remember, Kentucky 0 for 8, converting third downs to first downs this afternoon from their own 28. Ransdell keeps it close to the first down. Boswell with another tackle. He may be short of the first down, though. We'll have to watch for the spot. As you can see, it's down in front of the Kentucky bench. They may have to bring the sticks in. I think they're going to do that. By the way, we appreciate your viewing wherever you may be watching our TBS Sports production of Southeastern Conference football. And there's a couple of Bulldog fans out in Oklahoma City who are regular viewers. Courtney and Betty White and Virginia and Don Copeland wanted to say hello to in Oklahoma City.
How about that? Did they send you your cowboy boots?
No, they did not. But they could. No, they can't, because that'd be illegal. Don't do that. It is a first down, and that's the first time this afternoon that Kentucky has converted a third down into a first down. You mentioned Andy Loy, who had been hurt. Loy is the youngster who got into the altercation. As you look at the quarterback comparison with Bill Mitchell, the suspended linebacker, they were really just celebrating a little bit too much, or as was Mitchell, and Loy just kind of broke it up. They've remained friends. Mitchell's taking his punishment like a man and may be back with his Bulldog team for the game next week. Not much for Adams, maybe a loss of a yard. Harris with the tackle. One thing Bill Mitchell's probably seeing, and I'm sure pulling for, is that is his replacement. Steve Boswell has had a whale of a game here this afternoon, seizing the opportunity.
Kentucky trying to redirect their running attack a little bit, trying to get it outside. They see the alignment of the Georgia football team, but they're not able to do that either.
This is second down 11 for Kentucky from the Kentucky 31, bottled up inside their 50 most of the afternoon. Ransdell under pressure again, always running for his life. Throwing on the run, incomplete at midfield. Tried to get it to Cisco Bryant. Watch number 76 with his pass rush here, Donald Chumley.
Chumley takes it inside the offensive lineman. That gives Ransdell an opportunity to break the containment of the pass rush. Now, Chumley will get in trouble for that, even though he put pressure on the quarterback. He's responsible for keeping that quarterback in the pocket. He won't get in big trouble, just a little bit.
Third down conversions. Neither team's been very successful with it today, but Georgia's converted a lot of first downs on their first and second, which makes that statistic for Georgia look a little bit misleading. Here is number 25, Mark Logan, getting a few yards. Culpepper with the Georgia tackle. That was on third down and draws boos from the Wildcat crowd here. Not converting there, and Kentucky a little bit gun shy of a turnover here, with Ransdell having thrown 2 interceptions this afternoon, and Calhoun comes in to punt again. And Calhoun has had a workout this afternoon as Ransdell tries to get his act together. Calhoun will be in for his 7th punt of the afternoon.
Well, people are booing in the sense they probably felt like they should have thrown it on third down, been a little bit more aggressive. What they're trying to do is catch them in a blitz and trap it and get a big running play. They felt like they had an opportunity to do that. Didn't work out.
Georgia leads 20-0, 2:37 to go in the quarter, and Jimmy Harrell had a 76-yard punt return the last time he touched the ball.
Georgia has 3 men back there with him that will kind of form a wall in front of him as he catches the ball, giving him time to make a couple of moves.
From the 23, Harrell goes down immediately. That 76-yarder got the Wildcats' attention. Tony Mays was the first man down to make the stop on Harrell, who's a senior from Summerville, South Carolina. The score, Georgia 20, Kentucky nothing, 2:18 to go, third quarter. This is Turner Network Television.
You know, if I'm playing a match on Wednesday, I take my Bic and shave down on this cheek. If it's a semifinal, I shave up. But if it's a month with an R, I take my Bic and go across. Except on Tuesday, of course, when I start on my chin. All this might give you the idea I'm superstitious. No way. It doesn't matter which Bic I use. Superstitious? Nah.
Superstitious or not, avoid all shavers with more than 3 letters.
Like it or not, winter's coming. You gotta winterize your car at Nationwide. After all, what's confidence worth when you're carrying passengers as special as these?
Hi, Grandpa.
It's time to change your antifreeze, and Nationwide has everything you need. Like Prestone antifreeze for just $3.99 a gallon. But buy 2 gallons, send for a $2 rebate, making your cost just $2.99 a gallon.
Take the road to confidence. Nationwide, your low-price, good advice auto parts store.
We've kicked Tim Foley out of the booth here.
I have a window.
Yeah. Well, we're not punishing you a great deal. Tim got a little reckless up here, former defensive back and all. We made him stand on the other side of the barricade.
Watch out. I can close my door here on you.
Beautiful afternoon in Commonwealth Stadium. We're having a good time with SEC football. Hope you are too. The Kentucky Wildcats will have a better time if they could score some points. They're trailing 20-0. McCluskey breaks it outside. The tackling bunch breaks other tackles. Only one man to beat. McCluskey to the 34-yard line. The tackle made by 13, Gary Sexton, who was way back there. McCluskey ran a great deal of the distance without a shoe.
Kentucky does a nice job at the point of the attack. It looks like Thompson stuffed the play, and McCluskey broke it back to the weak side and started breaking tacklers. Where is he? Oh, there he comes. Sexton's just trying to buy time here as Jacobs comes back and Tony Mays comes back to help make the play.
Wildcats could only get a part of his shoe. Big ramble, 41 yards. Here's the handoff to the right side for about 4 down near the 30-yard line. Lars Tate carrying the ball and David Thompson with a stop for Kentucky. Well, Georgia just keeps coming up with something from somebody you don't expect. First, nobody expected Andre Smith to run off a bunch of long runs as he did earlier in the year and even last week against Vanderbilt. Then McCluskey plays a little bit more for Smith today because of Smith's sore calf and Achilles. Now McCluskey leading the team in special teams tackles, then rips off a 41-yard run out of the fullback position. 2nd down, 6, Georgia from the 32 of Kentucky. Scott Williams in motion. Lars Tate running room to the 24-yard line. And a first down. Here's some scores from college football today. Wisconsin leading Ohio State in the rain at halftime, being played in Madison. Boston College back out in front of Rutgers, 21-10. That had been tied 7-7 earlier. North Carolina State leading Clemson, 24-21 in the second quarter. And South Carolina and East Carolina, 7-7. That game just underway. The South Carolina Gamecocks of Joe Morrison undefeated going into the East Carolina game today. Here's Dukes on a 1st and 10 from the 25. Has his man down there, Archie, but he couldn't hit him. And actually, Archie was in a very narrow seam between Mays and Calhoun.
It's the play they've been running. They've hit Williams a few times in the flat, trying to draw up the short coverage man on Williams and throw it in over his head, but there was really nothing there. Dukes just appeared to throw that one out of bounds.
Well, David Dukes this afternoon, 7 out of 13 for 86 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. He's been running this Georgia offense, though, by getting the ball to those backs and not turning it over thus far. 2nd down, 10. Georgia from the 25. Here comes Hockaday in motion, number 85. Lars Tate. About the 22 or 23, and he stopped there. Just 40 seconds remaining in the third quarter as you see it tick down.
I don't know if you can say enough about this Georgia offensive line. As you mentioned, they're outproducing Herschel's results to this point last year. Isn't that correct?
And Herschel's Heisman Trophy year of '82.
Right, and McCluskey is running well, as did Andre Smith. That tells me something. They got places to go. There's holes there.
3rd down 8 from the 22. Tron Jackson, they love this sweep. This time Jackson bottled up and knocked out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. And in will come Kevin Butler. The line of scrimmage going to be about the 23. It'll be about a 40-yard attempt for Butler if, in fact, that's what the Georgia Bulldogs decide to do. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Georgia leads 20-0 over Kentucky. This is Turner Network Television.
In my travels, I've been fortunate to see some of the true wonders on this earth. But few have impressed me as much as the fascination and understanding contained in the world of Audubon. It's a breathtaking program that opens your eyes to a magnificent world where you play the most important role. Join me for the World of Audubon.
See the World of Audubon's encore presentation, Sunday at 5:35 Eastern on Superstation WTBS. He was a loner, looking out for #1.
Making money out of war. It's almost an act of nature.
Selling his wares to the highest bidder.
I warn you, I'm a Mexican national. Doing business with the Yanks.
But this time, he's gone too far.
You about ready to leave? Not under your terms.
William Holden is Alvarez Kelly. Tonight at 8:05 p.m. Eastern on Superstation WTBS.
Portions of today's game are brought to you by Canon. Quality cameras and photographic equipment so advanced. Canon is the world's leader in 35mm photography. Nikki Nichols, our booth manager, she's the one who actually threw Tim out for being a little rambunctious here, creating a little more room, doing her usual great job up here at Commonwealth Stadium. Well,
you've got so many helpers, I don't have any room.
I need all that I can get, as you well know. 39-yard field goal attempt by Kevin Butler. It is good. Kevin Butler, 3 out of 4 field goal kicking today for Georgia, kicking with that sore right leg. They did not expect him to play, and he's pumped up 9 points. He now has 326 points as he continues his assault on the all-time scoring record. By the way, as you look at some scores, the NCAA record is 356 points. Georgia Tech leading Tennessee. That's in the 2nd quarter, being played in Atlanta. Vanderbilt out in front of Ole Miss, 7-0 in the 1st quarter. These are all SEC scores. By the way, Kurt Page threw the touchdown pass to running back Carl Woods for the Vanderbilt touchdown. That being played in Nashville. I was going to say, Tim, do you remember who holds the NCAA all-time scoring record? Now, I have it in front of me. You don't, so... He's now a pro football player and wears the same number as George Adams of Kentucky.
Bronco Nagurski.
Good. That's wrong, but it's good. How about Tony Dorsett?
Tony Dorsett.
You knew. You were you're giving me a chance. There's the big blue rag. It is damp with tears this afternoon, as Kentucky trails Georgia 23-0 with 14:57 left in this football game. So we were just adding up Kevin Butler's points. As you look at the Kentucky kick returners, they are Adams and Logan. Butler had 317 coming in today, has 9-10 more, so he has 327 points on the day. Matter of fact, he has 11 on the day. Here is Mark Logan. Gets a good block. Finds a seam. Out to the 33-yard line. Excellent job of blocking and running by Mark Logan. Logan's a sophomore from Lexington, hometown youngster. Randy Jackson made the stop for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Kentucky isn't through yet. They almost came up with a very, very big play here as Logan tries to get to his left return. George Adams gets a semblance of a block, and then Logan breaks one tackle, cuts it upfield. A couple of nice blocks by Kentucky. Finally cornered by a Georgia Bulldog.
Ransel on 1st and 10 from the 23. Got a good block back there Throws on the run, incomplete. Trying to get it over there to number 80, Mark Wheeler, who wanted an interference call. None was forthcoming. Tony Flack covering on the play.
Georgia had some good fortune on that play. It looked there was some confusion in their secondary, and they ended up with one extra man to the wide side of the field where the play was directed.
There's the scoring drive for the Bulldogs, 54-yard, 7 plays, and the 39-yard field goal by Kevin Butler. So today he has a 34-yard field goal, a 39-yard field goal, and a 33. He missed a 41-yarder wide to the right earlier. Mark Higgs, number 22, the freshman, gets the handoff out across the 30 to the 31. He didn't even get back to the original line of scrimmage. And now Henry Harris has penetrated at nose guard to make the stop. By the way, about 2 commercials ago, if you're keeping count, when we went away, you saw a good close-up on the sideline of the team doctors for Georgia and trainers working on the knee of number 99, Jake Richardson, who seems to be shaken up in this game. And 52, Henry Harris, the sophomore, is playing nose guard. Harris had started. Richardson took that job from Harris. Now Richardson is apparently injured to some degree. We'll check on it for you. Ramsdale throws incomplete to Cisco Bryant. The diving attempt would have been good for the first down, but it brings up 4th, and in will come Paul Calhoun for his 8th punt of the afternoon.
Jerry talking to the coaches upstairs, just telling them we have to get something going. And maybe they're discussing personnel at this particular point or play selection.
There's a beauty from Calhoun. Jimmy Harrell from his 21. Tripped up. Down very quickly to cover on the play, number 48. Cam Jacobs, who's made some special teams plays today, as did Jimmy Harrell, had a 76-yard punt return touchdown run earlier today. This is Turner Network Television.
Panasonic introduces a new lightweight video system that's so automatic, it works by itself. The Panasonic video camera focuses by itself, adjusts for changing light by itself, even works in extreme low light all by itself. This Panasonic VHS recorder connects almost by itself and plays back a jitter-free picture in slow motion and stop motion. Put in a pre-recorded movie, and this Panasonic gives you hi-fi sound through your stereo. Sound so far superior to ordinary TV, it stands out by itself. Panasonic video systems, just slightly ahead of our time.
There's a Kentucky youngster enjoying the afternoon, not enjoying the game. And Kentucky has 2 linebackers in there, 58 Zach and 39 Urano for the first time in the game together. Kramer and Jacobs are out for some reason for Kentucky out of the linebacking spots. About 3 yards for Lars Tate right up the middle. By the way, Jake Richardson, the nose guard for Georgia, has a sprained knee. That's why he is out of the game and Harris is in. And there he is, matter of fact. You can see Jake Richardson with his sprained right knee. Very personable young man we've got to know the last couple of 3 weeks. He wants our producer, Skip Ellison, to be sure to get that Turner Broadcasting T-shirt in the mail to them. I hope he's okay with his sprained knee over there, too. 2nd down 6. Georgia from the 28-yard line. The Bulldogs, they lead 23-0. Lane in motion. 13:15 to go in the game. Oops. Diving grab by Stanley Blaylock, number 37. Gordon Jackson with the tackle. Blaylock with that touchdown last week had 1 catch and 1 touchdown before he came into the game today. Now he has 2 catches and 1 touchdown.
Well, when you're covering home run Blaylock, you have to give him a lot of room. You're always concerned about the deep pattern. Here he shows some foot quickness, breaks it off, works himself free, and makes a nice reception.
He's a track star who's become a football player, hasn't played since high school, but as Tim pointed out earlier, he is also obviously a football player with some football talents. Beyond just speed, Lars Tate does not get to call it because they call a dead ball penalty. That's often illegal procedure. The time clock did not run down. There was 6 seconds left. We'll get the call here. There it is, illegal procedure against Georgia. Mac Gentry, the official who's making the call today. So the Kentucky Wildcats went 5-0. Then they ran into LSU. A lot of folks picked to win the SEC.
Dead ball, illegal procedure, offense.
Now they have run into a buzzsaw called the Georgia Bulldogs. Bulldogs now have 62, 83, 85 points in the last 7 quarters of play, with 62 versus Vanderbilt last week.
And Vince Dooley still looks worried.
First down 15 from the 37. Hand off to David McCluskey to the 49-yard line and a little bit more. Close to the first down. Gordon Jackson with a stop for Kentucky. And you saw 63 Mike Weaver there, the right tackle. Watch the blocking on this play.
There's Pete Anderson, 64, firing out. Keith Johnson, 61, getting him blocked. Here goes McCluskey. Brian Williams gives him a lick. Going to try and wrap him up. Finally, Gordon Jackson just yanks him to the ground.
Linebacker Cam Jacobs, number 48, back in there for Kentucky now. He'd come out for a while. Second down 2. Georgia with their power formation at the 49. Here's Lars Tate. First down, Georgia. To the 45-yard line. We've had Tron Jackson, Lars Tate, Tony Mangrum all alternating at the tailback position for Georgia this afternoon. Lars Tate has 37 yards on the day. Mangrum has 35 yards on the day. Jackson has 24. We'll get our statistician, David Carroll, to add those up and add the tailback yardage up for us. We'll tell you exactly how the tailbacks are doing. It's kind of like the Herschel Walker replacement corps. They said it would take 2 or 3. Well, whatever works. First and 10. Bulldogs. McCluskey pops it up the middle, spinning and twisting his way for about 8 or 9 yards.
This would be a good time to talk a little bit about Kim Stevens. He's a freshman, and he's only the 2nd freshman ever to start for Georgia, as you watch David McCluskey running behind one of his blocks. The only other one was Tim Morrison back in 1977. He's just done a fantastic job mixing in there with Pete Anderson, who's the leader, and Jimmy Holton.
Second down 2, Georgia at the 38 of Kentucky now. It's to Lars Tate. Look out! To the 2-yard line goes Lars Tate. A gain of 36 yards. And he has 73 yards on the day now. 150 yards out of the tailback position for Georgia.
McCluskey out in front there. What a hole. Cuts it back against Calhoun, who misses. And then it's just a sprint for the goal line. Finally gets knocked off by Russell Hairston. First and 2 on the 2, and that sends the people toward the gate.
The man who had stepped in there and looked as though he was going to take that tailback job was freshman Cleveland Gary. And he's been injured with a foot injury lately. The whistle sounds again before the ball was snapped. And they brought in Jackson, Tate, and Mangrum because Gary hasn't been able to play the last 2 games. And now, all of a sudden, the other freshman, Lars Tate, is showing what he can do.
Delay, offense.
That may go into the Guinness Book of Records, though, Bob, as the widest hole ever created by an offensive line.
What was the previous record? Do you remember? Can't be much more than 53 yards, right?
Kentucky's, they're fighting to stay alive. They're fighting and scratching and pursuing, and if one man gets cut off in a situation like that, it creates a large gap.
So the Bulldogs lead 23-0, 10-16 remaining in the game. First down goal from the 8. Archie in motion. Dukes. Archie to about the 3. It's close to a first down. Oh, excuse me. It's down to about the 3. It'll bring up a second down. First down would be about 6 yards deep. So I wanted to mention that a lot of the folks are leaving Commonwealth Stadium here this afternoon. The Wildcats getting beaten by 23 and perhaps by even more in a moment. It's the last day of racing at Keeneland. Some may be headed out to try to get in a couple of horse races, see if they can be more lucky than they have been as Wildcat fans today. Lars Tate. Touchdown. Tate's 3rd touchdown of the year.
Watch him again, but behind the right side of that line, Mike Weaver just collapses it in there as Anderson pulls around. And a trap down in there close, knocked him out of there.
So Lars Tate gets the touchdown. He has 75 yards rushing this afternoon to lead all rushers in the ball game, and Georgia leads 29-0. Kevin Butler, point after, good, and it is 30-0. Butler has 12 points on the day. He's moving toward that all-time NCAA scoring record of 356 points. We'll be back to Commonwealth Stadium in just a moment.
Hold it! Can anyone here name a copier maker that's bigger than Ricoh?
Xerox.
Ricoh's bigger.
IBM?
Ricoh's bigger.
And we got to be bigger than Xerox by making a full line of copiers that win top marks for quality, like this Ricoh 6080 console copier.
What a revelation.
Now, are you still overlooking Ricoh and the Ricoh 6080? Call Ricoh. We respond.
Have you tasted what's making America say?
It's here.
It's all here at Hardee's. Have you tasted how a biscuit's done the Hardee's way?
It's here.
It's all here at Hardee's.
Introducing Cinnamon and Raisin Biscuits, our original homemade rise and shine recipe, now with cinnamon and plump juicy raisins, then iced with a smooth glaze. Sweeten up your day with new Cinnamon and Raisin Biscuits.
It's here, it's all here at Hardee's.
All here.
It's 30-0 Georgia here at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington. Let's look at some other college football after the kickoff here. We'll take a look at some scores. By the way, in this second half of play, Kentucky has only 5 net yards rushing as you look at the Bulldogs scoring drive. 5 yards rushing the ball in the entire second half.
Bill Lewis has done an excellent job for the last 4 years coordinating the defense for Georgia, and got another fine group of athletes out there today.
And Rusty Gillespie, who's been doing a great job kicking the ball off for Georgia this afternoon in place of the injured Butler, kicks this one out of bounds. Let's look at the scores while they mark off the 5 and bring it back. There, South Carolina leading East Carolina 14-10 in the second quarter. Quarterback Mike Holt of South Carolina on his first play in the ball game at Ira Hillary for a 71-yard TD. Army leading Syracuse 13-7 in the second quarter. See if I can talk any faster to get these in. Tennessee beat Georgia Tech 10-7, leads Georgia Tech 10-7 in the second quarter. Tony Robinson scored the touchdown. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt tied 7-7, and Wansley with a 1-yard run to tie it up for Ole Miss, and Kurt Page threw to Carl Woods for Vanderbilt for the Commodore score, and it's tied in Nashville. Gillespie now from the 35-yard line. George Adams at the 4. Looking for the wall. Out to the 28-yard line. And that's where Kentucky gets the ball with 9 minutes and 16 seconds left, attempting to avert a shutout here at their home field this afternoon. Georgia has shut out Kentucky 5 times over the years, last time back in '81. From the 27. Deary, Adams, the running backs in that split back set. Ransdell. It's Deary again. Deary falls forward to the 35-yard line for a gain of about 8 on the screen pass to the left side. Actually, just a short toss to the left. Number 29, Will Jones with the tackle. Deary looks a little banged up. He's going to come off. And in comes 29, Tom Weary.
I believe Chris Deary's been playing in pain ever since the first quarter.
Defense.
And there's a penalty against Georgia, as you just heard, from referee Mac Gentry.
One thing I think that Jerry Claiborne and his coaches have succeeded in doing here is creating a program that does possess some pride. These guys are still fighting out there, still hammering away, trying to get on the board, haven't given up hope yet. And I think that's the main thrust of what he's trying to establish.
Weary and Logan in the backfield on a first down 10. It's complete to Logan. He gets a block. Needed to turn it outside, and I'm sure he'd like to have had that opportunity again, but still gets it to the 43 of Georgia. Kentucky first down. You saw that Vanderbilt score with Ole Miss in SEC action. Vanderbilt leads 14-7 now, and that last Vanderbilt touchdown came on a 1-yard run by Kurt Page. Vince Dooley will have to smile here soon, leading 30-0 with 8:40 left. He's smiling on the inside. From the 44 of Georgia, first down, Bill Ransdell. Nice grab in traffic by Mark Logan, and there's a penalty marker down. Boswell with a tackle. Penalty marker down at the 38-yard line of Georgia.
You're going to get Boswell for a little pass interference, a little early contact there, trying to lock up man-to-man with Logan. I think it's harder to cover a back coming out of the backfield than it is to cover a wide receiver sometimes. The back has so many different ways to go on you. Claiborne awfully disappointed, I'm sure, in his team's performance today. But this Georgia team is going to run away from a lot of folks this year.
Let's see if we can spot the pass interference on 44 Boswell. Early contact here.
Little man-to-man coverage, trying to sit on inside. Logan does a little twist and pirouette, and Steve Boswell's got a little Fred Astaire action going with him before the ball arrives.
That was dancing move. He's going to give him a little twirl there, wasn't he?
Right, yeah.
Would you like to dance? First down, 10, Kentucky at the 38 after the interference penalty. And now they're saying the center for Kentucky, Petroviak, moved the ball. We were talking about Kentucky struggling here. They won their first 5 games, lost badly to LSU last week with 9 turnovers. 5 yards against Kentucky here. Now, Kentucky has a chance to get well next week as they entertain North Texas State here at Lexington. Then they have to play Vanderbilt here, then Florida here, and then Tennessee at Knoxville. So with 5 victories on the season, you look at that schedule, you could see where Kentucky could pick up possibly a couple of more victories, maybe even more, and get 7 or 8 wins on the year. Kentucky had 8 wins last year, went to the Hall of Fame Bowl, and lost to West Virginia. So they may go bowling again if they can get a couple more victories tacked onto the 5 they have now. Ransdell looking for Pitts. Incomplete, out of bounds at the 20-yard line. It's really getting into scheduling situations now, Tim, in this Southeastern Conference race. A lot of people are picking LSU, and they say one of the reasons is because Florida, Auburn, Georgia, the other contenders, are playing each other and may bump each other off.
The LSU has a schedule that favors them, there's no doubt, but they also have something else that favors them, a lot of ability. And Bill Arnsparger seems to have put that crew together, and they really are productive, both offensively and defensively, right up in the top of the Southeast rankings.
Excuse me, second down 15 from the 43. Incomplete. Adams has had a hard time catching the ball today. One of the passes earlier bounced off his hands and turned into an interception for Georgia.
Ransdell just kind of lays it out there. He usually puts a little bit more on the ball than this, I'm sure, but he had to get some altitude on it to get it over the leaping Kenny Sims. Adams breaks his concentration just at the last moment, doesn't put the ball away, and it slips out of his grasp.
Third down 15, Kentucky from the 43 of Georgia now. It's Georgia 30, Kentucky nothing. 7:57 remaining in the game. You see the Ransdell statistics. The key statistics are the 2 interceptions. Just tried to get it out here to Weary, but Weary was checked at the line real well, and there was some good quarterback pressure by Greg Waters, forcing Ransdell to throw it a little bit early. And they'll have to punt the ball away once again. By the way, you know what happens when Kentucky's football team loses its 2nd game of the year every year? They start talking basketball here in Lexington. There were some folks talking about SEC basketball in the elevator coming up, as a matter of fact. And I always get a kick out of Kentucky basketball as you look at Jimmy Harrell, who has a 76-yard TD return on a punt today. They always say they're going to have a down year, much like Vince Dooley in Georgia. That's what they're saying here in Lexington about Kentucky basketball this year. Here's Calhoun, very high, good hang time. Going to hit at the 10. He's got an opportunity to be down right at the 1-yard line, and number 80, Mark Wheeler, finally fell on the ball down there, and Georgia has to line up in their end zone. But a little case of too little too late here of Paul Calhoun's excellent punt. But Georgia leads 30-0 with 7:40 remaining. This is Turner Network Television.
Hey, you big old hound, you telling me it's quitting time? Yeah, started on 30 acres, and you're just a pup. I'd say both you and this place have done a bunch of growing since then.
The Red Man reaction, satisfaction.
The secret of the new luxury is science. This efficient turbocharger is now available in all new Chrysler LeBarons. So now you enjoy LeBaron luxury with the power of a V8 and the efficiency of a 4. Indeed, you have never been moved like this before. The new turbocharged Chrysler LeBarons. Quality, backed by the Chrysler Protection Plan. This is the new science of luxury.
Your Atlanta area Chrysler Plymouth dealer is making great deals. See yours today.
7 minutes, 40 seconds left in this game. Georgia with a 30-0 lead will have the ball first down 10 at their own 1-yard line following Calhoun's punt of 55 yards. Now James Jackson in at quarterback for Georgia. He's the freshman, wears number 14. Hands to Andre Smith, who gets about a yard. Don Urano makes the tackle for Kentucky. And there's a new player in the game, or actually he's in and out of the game. Victor Perry, number 77. Bryan, number 78. Mac Bryan. Georgia making some offensive line substitutions now. 61 is Keith Johnson, the big 270-pound senior who's playing with a sore back, as he has been all year. Georgia with a last-minute substitution, and Andre Smith has to sprint to the sideline to get out in time. He does. And out to the 8-yard line goes Lars Tate. Georgia hopeful for just a first down here so they can maintain possession to continue to run out the clock with their 30-0 lead.
Georgia shuffled some players around this year, as we talked earlier. Mike Weaver, former defensive lineman, now on offense. And it's not the first time that Vince Dooley has stolen from the defense to shore up his offensive line. Mike Wilson was an All-American, used to be a defensive lineman. Joel Parrish in '76, also an All-American, an offensive lineman that used to play defense.
There's James Jackson running it out close to the first down. Don Urano with the stop on the freshman from Camilla, Georgia. And there's number 18, Kevin Dooley for Kentucky. No doubt we will see him the last series for Kentucky if they get the ball back. He came in last week and that lost to LSU and engineered 2 touchdown drives. They like the look of that young man, a freshman from Cincinnati, similar to Bill Ransdell in many ways, the way he plays. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, exact same size as Ransdell. They'll come in and mark off to see if Georgia has the first down. Looking at Georgia's schedule, they'll go to 6-1 today. We'll watch that measurement together. First down, and Bulldogs keep it. And lead here 30-0. There, Don Smith of Mississippi State has thrown a 58-yard TD to Mordecai, the wide receiver, and Mississippi State leads Auburn 7-0. Georgia first down. Freshman quarterback James Jackson in there. Officials still have timeout down. Tim, we're looking at Georgia about to go to 6-1 on the season, 4-0 in the SEC. And Georgia will have next week Memphis State, a non-conference game at Athens, and then Florida and Auburn. So it's going to be right down to 2 games for Georgia.
No question about it. Florida and Auburn, both strong, aggressive football teams, and it's going to be a real battle.
On a 1st and 10. And tailback Lars Tate out to the 19-yard line. Both teams do have 3 timeouts left, so Kentucky could stop the clock if they want to, but trailing 3-0, they won't stop it probably. It's 30-0, Georgia over Kentucky.
Go, D! Come on, keep your pride! Come on, D!
It is 2nd down 2, Georgia, from the 19 of Kentucky. Lars Tate picks up the first down, I believe. Once again, it'll be close to it. We talked to Jerry Claiborne about the Southeastern Conference race. A lot of people are picking LSU. We asked him what he thought about it, too.
Well, I think right now that LSU has the driver in the driver's seat because they're 2-0-1, and they've got Alabama, Mississippi, and Mississippi State left, and I think that Auburn and Georgia and Florida's schedule is tougher as they go down the final games, because I think that they might beat each other.
First down 10, handoff to the fullback McCluskey out to about the 27-yard line. McCluskey's been a real workhorse for Georgia here today. Played well on special teams and run the ball quite a few times. Had a couple of long gainers. Has 84 yards carrying the ball, and Jerry Claiborne has reasons to be fingernail biting, finger chewing this time. He's disappointed with his second straight big loss in a row.
I'm sure he feels his team can be competitive. They had a couple of tough breaks early on. The touchdown, the fumble that turned into a touchdown can be an emotional letdown. Then a couple of poor punts turned some things against them early in the first possession of the second half. It's an interception, and that really nailed the coffin shut at that point. And it's been a hustling, aggressive, upfield Georgia defense that's kind of bottled up the Kentucky offense.
Well, now Vince Dooley is substituting heavily once again. We see freshman Greg Williams at tailback, freshman Randy Jackson at fullback. Williams 23, Jackson 47, both played late in the Vanderbilt game last week on a 3rd down 5. Here's James Jackson from Camilla.
He's got it, Bob.
Look at that arm. There's Freddie Lane. He's gone goodbye. The line of scrimmage was the 28-yard line, 72 yards. James Jackson with his first collegiate touchdown pass. We talked earlier about how strong his arm is. Watch the arm on this little quarterback, only 5'10".
They run 2 patterns out of this set, an out and an out and up. This obviously is an out and up. Kentucky has an inexperienced defensive back in there. They're trying to save their starters. They don't want anybody getting hurt, and Caldwell chases Lane into the end zone. Good throw by Jackson.
36-0 Georgia with 3:28 remaining in the game, and Butler comes in again to attempt his 13th point of the afternoon. Butler now has 330 points in his career, shooting for the NCAA record of 356 career points held by Tony Dorsett. This is Turner Network Television.
Hats off to Sonny's Real Pit Barbecue, because we have something special for you. A painter's hat from Coca-Cola for only 59 cents with any food purchase and jumbo soft drink. You get that delicious Sonny's Barbecue, a cold Coca-Cola, and to top it off, this painter's hat at a special price. So come on in to Sonny's Real Pit Barbecue for food, a Coke, and a painter's hat, but only while supplies last.
Sonny's, 'cause Sonny's makes it all taste right.
My Can-Do checking is free and pays me interest, and believe me, that really helps.
With Can-Do checking, I don't have to worry about being nickel and dime to death with service charges. Besides, a nickel can come in handy.
I get cash wherever I see the Avail sign with this card.
Can-Do, Georgia Federal Can-Do.
Watch this great arm here of James Jackson and the great blazing speed of Freddie Lane.
He's probably got the best arm of any active quarterback that Georgia has right now. Probably just a read pattern. If Lane didn't have it on the outside, he was supposed to turn it up. I can't believe that Georgia would be throwing takeoffs with 3.5 minutes left to go in the game, ahead 30-0. So it's probably a read pattern, just an option, and that's how it developed, and you run to the open area.
37-0 Georgia, 3:28 remaining in the game. Here's Gillespie with the kickoff. It may be headed out of bounds again. He's trying to angle it into the end zone and out of bounds, but misses a little bit short. And they'll mark it off 5 yards and bring it all the way back. And his special teams kickoff coverage folks won't be very happy with Rusty's attempt to hit it in the corner of the end zone. Here's the scoring drive for Georgia that time. Not really much to it. 99 yards. They started at their own 1, you may recall. 8 plays, of course, the key, the 73. Now they call it a 73-yard official touchdown from Jackson to Freddie Lane.
They probably have a finer group of receivers at Georgia now than they've ever had, I would assume. People that can run and catch the ball. There are also hustlers downfield blocking, but all of them can get deep. Hockaday is more of a possession receiver, but you take Archie, Blaylock, Osborne, and Lane can fly.
It's going to come down to Logan. Bobbles it, but picks it up again. Tries to find his way outside and does. All the way to the 49-yard line of Georgia. Some backup special teams players for the Bulldogs don't get the job done as well as they'd like. Randy Jackson with the tackle and an excellent kickoff return by number 25, Mark Logan.
It's a problem finding the handle on the ball. But while he's trying to get a grasp on the pigskin, some of his teammates are getting some Bulldogs on the ground. Makes a move and heads up the sideline, beats the tackle of Will Jones there. Finally dragged to the turf.
And number 18, Kevin Dooley in at quarterback for Kentucky. He threw 2 touchdown passes last week. Completes this one over the middle to Logan. To the 46-yard line of Georgia. Boswell with the tackle. Boswell has done just a marvelous job for Georgia this afternoon. 9 tackles, replacing the suspended Bill Mitchell. So what a good job that's been done by number 44, Steve Boswell. And there's Kevin Dooley. I said 2 touchdowns last week. You see 0 touchdowns there on our graphics. That's correct. He engineered 2 touchdown drives when he came in late in the LSU game. 2nd down, 6. Dooley gets sacked. Number 94 is Wycliffe Lovelace, who makes the stop. He's from Clewiston, Florida, freshman, number 94. They told us he was playing well.
You see the man from the home of the Big Bass, Wycliffe Lovelace. Breaks it clean and takes Dooley to the turf. Good pass rush. They've got 4 down linemen that can get there, and Bill Lewis gets them in stunning games and works them free. Georgia is creating a lot of pass pressure without blitzing, and that's the dream of a defensive coordinator.
1:59 remaining in this game. Little screen to the left side, and Higgs goes down hard. The freshman from Owensboro, hit instantly by Jim Auer, who's a senior Georgia defensive lineman from Blackwood, New Jersey, getting some playing time today. Clock continues to tick, and it will bring up a punting situation again, and this will be, I believe, the 10th punt of the day. Yes, that's correct. The 10th punt, 11th punt of the day for Paul Calhoun.
All the way,
It's bobbled over on the far sideline. Number 16 or 17. Number 17 with the ball. And when you get to this point of the game, the Georgia roster does not include that youngster. So he doesn't have to have his name mentioned on the air after the fumble. Kentucky maintains possession. There's the man who got the ball for Kentucky. Number 95 is Matt Stein, a defensive end. 1:09 remaining in this game. Georgia 37, Kentucky nothing. Kentucky does have a chance to try to break this shutout here, thanks to the special teams play. Oh, down hard. Donald Chumley is the man with the sack of Kevin Dooley. 2 times he's been knocked down since he came into this game. This telecast is authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Southeastern Conference, is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, rebroadcast, or retransmission of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Southeastern Conference and Turner Broadcasting is prohibited. Well, all about I can say from a Kentucky point of view today is there's been nice weather, Tim.
It certainly has, and I'd like to thank Jerry Eisman and Terry Strock for the time they took with us, Bob, explaining their attacks, and also George Hafter and Bill Davis from the Georgia Bulldog crew. They've got to be proud of this Bulldog football team. Now, Vince Dooley's job is going to be to try to keep these players, keep their feet on the ground, because they certainly do have some momentum, and their talent certainly is coming to fruition here. It's really developing, and it's reaching a point where they're going to be tough to beat.
Greg Zager and Paul Horning will join you on most of these stations following the game with a football action report. Not only scores, but highlights from action around the country, SEC, but of course action from all over the nation today. Full Saturday afternoon of football, late October. 50 seconds remaining in this football game. It'll be 2nd down, 17, Kentucky from the 29-yard line of Georgia following the sack. Those must be some Georgia T-shirts that have been brought up here when they say Buzz Off Tech. Georgia Tech playing Tennessee today, by the way. That pass incomplete at the 26-yard line, and Kevin Dooley just getting leveled again. Mark Logan, the intended receiver, number 25, clocked to 42, and it stopped on the incompletion.
Sims and Chumley penetrating the pocket, forcing Dooley to get out of there. The offensive line from Kentucky up until this point had really played pretty well. Petrowiak and Prince, Reichwein, Johnson, Shurtleff, the leader. They've had their problems today.
Here comes Kevin Dooley now, the freshman. And there is Jake Richardson. We hope that young man's right knee will be okay. A sprained right knee for nose guard Jake Richardson. Down to the 10-yard line, the ball falls harmlessly to the ground. It was intended for Phillips, and speaking to the ground, Dooley picks himself up again. Now let's watch this hit on Kevin Dooley.
As people follow the ball, sometimes they don't catch the aftermath of hanging on to that pigskin. That wasn't too bad. He just kind of got bumped to the turf. Sometimes that's why they wear those flak jackets.
You know, Kentucky's only converted 3rd down situations into 1st downs 1 time out of 14 attempts today. Ineffective on those crucial 3rd down situations. This is Weary. Out of bounds at the 10-yard line. That'll stop the clock with 28 seconds to go. 17, by the way, we mentioned earlier there for Georgia, UCL on that play is Michael Williams. He is not listed in the Georgia press guide or on the Georgia roster. They're going to have to include him in there if he's going to be played in the ball game. Be my suggestion.
Does not officially exist.
It'll be 1st down goal from the 10 for Kentucky, trying to avert this 37-0 shutout. 28 seconds remaining in the game. Henry Harris was the first man in on Kevin Dooley. Dooley ducked out of the grasp of Harris, but then came the rest of the Bulldogs. Now Kentucky's calling timeout. They have 1 remaining after that. They'll try to get that ball into the end zone with 20 seconds remaining. Call this a pride drive for the University of Kentucky. So we've seen University of Georgia with 2 real blowouts here the last 2 weeks, just clobbering Vanderbilt 62-35, and now even a bigger win in that sense, 37-0 over Kentucky with 20 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, I think so. I think Kentucky's got a stronger defense than Vanderbilt, plus you're on the road. And the job of a football coach is to keep his team's mind on the game, and that's something that Dooley probably had a few distractions this week. He had Kevin Butler getting hurt. They were concerned about that, and also the situation with Billy Mitchell developed, and Jerry Claiborne trying to bring his football team back, trying to make them believers, trying to make them believe that they can compete with the Georgias and the Auburns and the Floridas of the SEC. And he's got good frontline people here, but when injuries start to accumulate, just doesn't have the depth yet.
Well, the injury to the Smith brothers, Larry and Jeff, certainly hurt that Kentucky defensive team. On a 2nd down, 16. Incomplete. Eric Pitts was open, but under intense pressure, Kevin Dooley just couldn't get the ball to him. Dooley went down again that time. Waters was the guy pressuring him that time. So down to 16 seconds left in the game, and it'll be 3rd down. And here's some scores from around the Southeastern Conference this afternoon. Let's have a look at what the action is. Tech by 1 over Tennessee at halftime. Looks like a pretty good one going on in Atlanta, Georgia this afternoon. Vanderbilt leading Ole Miss 16-7 in the 2nd quarter. And Mississippi State with a 2-touchdown lead over Auburn.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, my. Kentucky touchdown, number 19, Cisco O'Brien, his 2nd touchdown grab of the year. And with 10 seconds to go in the game, the Wildcats of Kentucky avert the shutout.
Oh, Cisco. This was close. He takes it coming across, and here comes Georgia. They're coming after him. You see Brantley blitzing in there. Dooley sits in there, got some patience and some poise. The ball on its way. Bryant goes down and makes the catch. Touchdown, Kentucky.
Michael Willis, Will Jones, Michael Williams, young Georgia defensive backs in there late here in the ball game. And Bryant took advantage of that and gets the touchdown grab. Here's Joe Worley with his first scrimmage play of the afternoon for the Kentucky kicker, and it is 37-7 with 10 seconds left, and Kentucky will kick off to Georgia. You can be sure the Bulldogs will just run out the clock. You see the empty seats here. Most of these folks are leaving over to catch races number 7 and 8 over at Keeneland. The only people still in the stadium are at the right end. If you pan the camera down to the right side, you see a whole lot of red shirts. The Bulldog fans have elected to stay in the stadium. I guess we're not going to pan down to the right, but trust me, they are down there. There they are, the Georgia Bulldog fans. They came up here and enjoyed the hospitality of Lexington, one of the most beautiful parts of the nation here in the bluegrass region. Quite a few Georgia fans are here. They took every allotted ticket. The Bulldogs send back Blaylock and Freddie Lane to take the kickoff from Joe Worley, and it's 37-7, Georgia over Kentucky, with only 10 seconds remaining in this game. Bulldogs go home to entertain Memphis State next week, and that, folks, won't be any easy encounter. Memphis State 5-1 going into today's action.
And a lot of good football players. They're expecting 5 or 6 of their folks to be drafted in the first two rounds of the NFL draft. Memphis State can play with just about anybody in the country.
That'll be a tough preparation job for the Bulldog coaches. Tony Mangrum got it at about the 20, goes down at the 21-yard line. Clock to 4 and stops there for the teams to change. So Georgia will simply fall on the ball and run out the clock in this game. We're hoping to talk to Vince Dooley, by the way, as soon as this football game is over. His team 6-1 in the top 10 in the national polls. Probably move up some this week after this shellacking of a good Kentucky football team, depending on the outcome of the other top 10 teams in the nation. Georgia, by the way, one of the few teams in the country, matter of fact, the only team in the country to be ranked in the top 5 each of the last 4 years. First in 80, fifth in 81, fourth in 83, fourth in 84. They'll move up in the polls this week. Greg Williams runs out the clock for Georgia. Final score, Bulldogs 37, the Wildcats of Kentucky 7. This is Turner Network Television.
Presenting the many places of New Avail. New Avail lets you use almost every 24-hour teller machine almost everywhere in Georgia. Amazing New Avail. You've never been closer to your money.
May I help you? I need a tape player for my car.
Hey, I've seen that guy on TV.
How'd you find us? I saw your ad in the Southern Bell Yellow Pages. That's
Great.
race driver. So I knew right where to find you.
Well, then the ad kept you from racing all over town.
Yeah.
Let your fingers do the walking in the Southern Bell Yellow Pages, where big winners come on strong.
Cale Yarborough, right?
No, but I have run into him.
Well, Doug Flutie, of course, one of the leading candidates for the Heisman Trophy, has a pretty good afternoon. This is a touchdown pass to Troy Stafford, and BC is now leading Rutgers. More on that game a little bit later on. The other Heisman candidate we're watching today is Keith Byers. He's the running back for Ohio State. He has 139 yards. Two great players we're watching.
We sure are, and I would say right now at the halfway point, I think before today started, I think Keith Byers, who's leading the nation in rushing, of course, I think he had a little bit of an edge. Today, though, I think Doug Flutie's already thrown 3 touchdown passes. He's ran for 1. I think it's going to be a two-way race the rest of the year, see who wins it.
Keith Byers better get his legs in gear. He's trailing Wisconsin right now. More on those a little bit later on. But let's go back to Commonwealth Stadium for an interview after today's game.
Back at Commonwealth Stadium, Georgia defeated Kentucky 37-7, and we have Vince Dooley down on the sideline. Coach Dooley, this is Bob Neal and Tim Foley in the booth. First of all, your reaction on this kind of victory over a tough defensive Kentucky football team.
Well, I thought we played very well. I thought we played perhaps the most complete football game to date. We played very well defensively, and we played very well offensively. I was surprised that we were able to move the ball as well as we did on Kentucky. They normally don't give up the big plays, but we made some big plays, and I was even more pleased with the fact that Kevin Butler was able to kick.
How is his leg now after that workout he's had this afternoon?
Well, it's probably sore. I'm going to go in and talk to him in just a minute, but he's sore. But I think the adrenaline started flowing. I didn't know he was going to kick at all until I came out after the warm-up, and I was talking to Coach Claiborne, and he was telling me how well he was kicking, and I said, well, I didn't even think he was going to be able to play. He says he thinks that he's ready to play. He said, but on the other hand, I might not advise him.
Coach Dooley, obviously a big win over Vanderbilt, and here in Kentucky. Now you've got to go home and play Memphis State, a tough team, a non-conference team. That must be a tough preparation job for you and your coaches to keep these youngsters up.
I think it's going to be very difficult. Week after week, we continue to play teams. Our schedule is ranked either 1 or 2 in the country. It's very, very difficult, and we're playing Memphis State right before Florida and Auburn back-to-back, and that's a tough assignment. It's traditionally been tough, and Memphis State this particular year can play with anybody in the country, maybe one of the top teams in the country. If not, it maybe should be in the top 10. I don't know, but I do know that it's going to be a very, very difficult week for us playing Memphis State prior to our conference games with Florida and Auburn.
Congratulations on the win here today, Coach Dooley. We'll let you go and catch that team bus and the airplane back. I know it'll be a pleasant trip for you.
Thank you very much.
Coach Vince Dooley, Dean of Coaches in the Southeastern Conference, with his 167th career victory here this afternoon. And the Georgia Bulldogs, expected to have a down year, go to 6-1. They'll be moving up in the top 10.